what's going on, guys? Welcome to the first episode of Pixel Pitch. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the game?
Phelan is an action-adventure RPG.
It's kind of like a surreal experience.
A satisfying, cozy game.
An immersive treasure hunter simulator.
Is this what I think it is? Oh my god. And so I have no problem putting in $2,000 for this game.
Wow.
Summon reapers in the grave.
We're just throwing money around like crazy. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yes.
You telling me you did this whole fucking thing by yourself?
I did the art, the code.
How long did this take you?
So far 9 years.
Wow.
I could ask you questions about gameplay and direction all day. This is cool. If you're looking for a potential publisher, Mad Mushroom, if you want to set up a meeting off stream, we can talk.
3 Goblin Woblin. How you doing, man?
Hey.
What a shit game. Let me try something. I did that on purpose.
Lost come to find themselves.
Every era introduces a new type of waste or challenge.
Oh, that's sick. The genre is becoming more competitive, but this is definitely a unique take on it.
Well, guys, one thing I learned is I wore the same shirt on the first episode as I did today. I had no idea about that, but yeah, this actually is a new episode. Hey, guys, welcome back to Pixel Pitch, episode 3. Very excited to be here. Obviously, we have, as always, our sponsor, Ally, who is responsible for why we're able to do this show. Ally Bank, thank you very much for sponsoring the show. Ally's goal is to become the official ally for creators, which will not happen overnight. It is a long-term ambition and a journey that Ally is just embarking on. From there, we can become better allies to the creator community, educating creators on how to reach their financial goals. Make sure to visit ally.com/creator for more. And today, of course, I am not just by myself, and we have 2 very interesting guests, and I'd like to introduce the first one. I think a lot of you already know him. Obviously, today we are having Tips Out on the show. How you doing, man? Welcome to the show.
Yo, super excited to be here, Asmon. It's been a long time, and yeah, excited to watch and look over some indie games with you today, and got some awesome checks.
How does it feel being back on a stream?
I fucking hate it. I freaking hate it. I'm not gonna lie, dude. It sucks. I'm nervous as hell, but no, it's gonna be a good time. Sorry, Ally. Big shout out to Ally, by the way. The #1 creator bank, and we're trying to help them do that. I can't believe I cursed within the first 5 seconds of being on here, but yeah, I'm very excited.
It's okay. I'll make it worse. Yeah, just give me 5 or 10 minutes, and it'll be okay. And so, yes, thank you very much. Obviously, Tips, yes. And we also have another guest. You might remember her from the OTK Games Expo, Jan Hoffaker. She was an executive producer on Arcane and also a co-founder of Incredible Dream. How you doing, Jane?
Hey, Tips. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited to have you here. I mean, I know that you took like a little bit of a glance at the games before already, and what do you think?
Oh my gosh, I'm super impressed. Like the quality and the state of indie games has continued to get better and better, and so I'm super excited to meet the devs today. And also shout out to Ally, because I remember them actually like way back when they were like one of the pioneers for remote banking, and super cool that they're doing this. So really awesome.
Yeah, now it makes a lot more sense than it did, and I'm excited too. I just got a little glance at the games. I try not to look at them so I can have the most authentic and like real reaction possible. So I have no fucking idea what I'm looking at, but I do want to explain what you guys have to expect from the show. Obviously, a lot of people have seen it before. Some people haven't. So I'm going to go ahead and explain kind of how the show is going to work. Today, we're going to be looking at 5 indie games that are going to be presented by each developer. They're going to talk about their game, talk about what they want, and talk about where they want their game to go. And going back to what they want, we also have money to give people. That's the main reason why people like the show, is we're giving away money. And by we, I do mean we, because the chat is also going to be giving away money as well. Each of us have $5,000, which collectively is $15,000. And on top of that, we are going to have chat vote in a poll at the end of the show. And you guys are also going to have $5,000. Now, we're going to be giving out a lot of this money just throughout the show, or sorry, actually at the end of the show. So we're not doing it throughout the show because obviously this was kind of a response to feedback we've received. And we will be giving out the money at the end of the show after we've seen everybody's presentations, we understand everyone's asks, and everybody's able to see which games we have to look at. So anyway, I'm pretty excited. How you guys feeling?
Let's see some games, man.
Can't wait to get started. Yeah.
All right. Well, I mean, let's just get into the show. All right. How about that? We've got the first game, and it's going to be called WaxHeart, and we have Michael Wolf, who is here to talk about his game. How you doing, Michael? Welcome to the show.
Hi. Super excited to be here.
Oh, nice picture you got in the back. There you go.
He's got the ambiance and everything set up. I love it.
Yeah. Are those candles on the other side of you?
Yeah, we used them at our GDC demo booth, and we decided to throw them out here. It's really fun.
Are they real?
No, they're...
That's probably a good thing since it's on the bed.
Yeah.
yeah. So a bit of a positive. So WaxHeart, why don't you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah. So as we get started, I'm going to go ahead and play our trailer in the background while I introduce myself and the team, and then I'll go into talking about the game.
Great.
So first, hello, my name is Michael Wolf. I'm the game director on WaxHeart, and I'm a professional Unity engineer with over 8 years of experience. And I have a master's degree in game design from Laguna College of Art and Design. My personal dream is to start my own indie studio where I can make meaningful, artful games with friends.
Do you by chance know a guy named Hassan or not? You know what? Never mind. Keep going. Sorry.
Okay. We'll circle back to that. So the way our team works is pretty unique. We are a team of over 40 volunteers. Everyone on our team contributes a little bit at a time. Where a normal studio would have one person working 40 hours a week, we have like 8 people contributing 5. And we've been in development for over 3 years. It started as my master's thesis project, and we just kept the ball rolling, and we're continuing to develop the game. And we're currently seeking funding to help the project reach the finish line. And the reason we're able to have so many volunteers is because there's a surplus of talent in the games industry right now. We've had all these layoffs. It's just a really tough time to be a creative in the space. And so there's a lot of people looking for work and not enough jobs to go around. So, we can't pay anyone. We don't have any funding, but we can try to help each other find that paid work. So we tell people, hey, come work with us, get some work experience, credits on the game, content for your portfolio, no NDA or non-compete. And we encourage everyone to continue to apply for paid roles as they work with us. And I'm happy to say that this is working. I'm proud to say that there's at least 15 people who have used WaxHeart to land their first industry jobs. And I'm just super happy about that, because whether this project, reaches the finish line or not, we're putting good out into the world. So I wanted to share that as we got started. And now let's just go into what the game's about.
Okay.
So WaxHeart is an atmospheric horror puzzle adventure where you play as a little wax boy with a lantern for a heart, journeying through a dark, ruined world in search of his lost memory. So what do I mean by an atmospheric horror puzzle adventure? Well, if you've ever played the Playdead games, Inside, Limbo, what we're looking for is like the mood, the atmosphere of these games that are just really, they're difficult to describe. I find them captivating. And then I want to translate the Playdead formula into 3D and making it more into something like Journey, which is this 3D adventure that has this linear flow. And the entire time you're being pulled to the mountaintop, this destination. And I think that does wonders for making the whole the experience just put the player in a state of flow. And that's what we're trying to emulate.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yep. Sorry, should I be pausing as we go here?
Just go. I'll interrupt you. It's fine.
Okay, go ahead. So WaxHeart is an adventure set in a sunless world full of monsters and mysteries. and you serve as the torch for the sunless world. So the light from your lantern heart can help lights the way, but also alerts monsters to your presence. You can hold your breath to bring your light in and help you hide, and you can heat up to reveal paths or, activate objects, stuff like that. And a really unique thing about our game is that we have what we call an inverted stealth system, where normally in a stealth game, you play as a point avoiding a volume. The volume being in enemies like cone of vision or other, proximity-based things, but essentially geometrically, you're a point avoiding a volume. In WaxHeart, we flip that on its head. You are a volume avoiding a point. So our enemies don't seek you out in a traditional sense, but if your light touches them, that activates them and they come after you. So we found that this has a lot of similarities to traditional stealth games, and it also creates something entirely new. And it has a really interesting stuff going on in the design space, I think.
So he's wax, but does the lantern melt him?
It does not.
Okay.
You can chalk that up to magic or just really resistant wax.
That's convenient for him.
But we've got deep lore, so to speak, but I don't need to go into that now. So yeah, our basic gameplay loop is you're exploring this rich, dark world. You're solving platforming and stealth puzzles. You're avoiding Ichor monsters, and you're collecting radiant oil, which is the magical oil that fuels your lantern and also animates all the candle people to life. It's I haven't gotten to that part yet, but it's it's like a soul in this world. So that fundamental gameplay loop, you're exploring an area, solving stealth challenges or platforming challenges. You're collecting oil as you go, and you're using it to open Ichor sealed doors and progress to the next area. So that's like our fundamental game loop. And these puzzles tend to definitely use your light mechanics quite a bit. So here we're looking at the solution to one of our puzzles where you are pushing a box and you need to stay on one side of it to make sure that your light doesn't touch the monster on the other side. Another thing about our game is that we have a lot of lore. We love talking about it and coming up with ideas, and we want to present it in the environment. We are aiming to be a purely textless game. No text, no dialogue, only text where we need to give instructions for how to interact. But generally, we want the world to be telling the story, and if the player's paying attention, they can figure things out. Just a little bit more about the world because I can't stop talking about it. So it's a world populated by candle people, these sentient beings made of wax, and they're animated by the burning wicks atop their head. And in the center of this world is what we call the sun tower, an artificial sun full of that oil at the top of it. And it's the world's primary source of light and life. And not long before the story begins, the sun tower is shattered, the world's cast into darkness, and this corrupting Ichor spreads to the population, warping them into cannibalistic horrors. You can call them zombies. And they're all trying to eat each other's oil and live as long as they can. And so the story begins as Waxboy wakes up from a long sleep, guided by a dream of a memory to the broken tower. I mentioned Journey earlier. Our Sun Tower serves as that guiding element to the end of the game in the same way that Journey's mountain does, with this huge beacon out in the distance. So our journey is planned to span 4 levels. First, the Ruined Village, which is encompassed in our demo that we have on Steam. It's about an hour of content. The next level, which we're currently working on, is the Dark Forest, followed by the Port Town and the Radiant City, where the Sun Tower is, where you climb the tower and meet your fate. And each new area introduces new monsters, new mechanics, and lore. And due to scope reasons, we've recently cut that 3rd level. We've done a bunch of pre-production and mechanics design, and that's just the nature of game development. I do like sharing it here because we have a lot planned, and given the resources, we would love to build the full vision of the project. But
you're trying to normalize cut content?
Yeah, I want to normalize cut content. But yeah, there's a lot that we're going on there. But yeah, so that's the gist of the game. I believe you guys could also check it out on. You might have demo stations ready, but our general development plan looks like this. So progress so far, we've basically spent the first year in pre-production and prototyping, followed by a year of demo development, where we focused on getting our Steam demo out the door. And now we're focusing on production of the second level. So you can find the links here. Our current focus is that dark forest level, and we're also focusing on improving our visual fidelity. We know that in order to kind of compete with our contemporaries and to be taken seriously, we need to really bring our art visual quality up, and make it look less student project.
But it kind of is, though, right?
I mean, it is.
Well, you said it is. And how's the reception to that? To you take, because that's like such an interesting approach where it's basically a crowd-funded or crowd-sourced game in a lot of cases, right? Mm-hmm. And so, like, how does that work? Like, let's say somebody comes in and their style is a lot different than somebody else's. How do you reconcile that?
That's a great question. There's a couple of things going on with it. Is one, when we're bringing people aboard, it's like, hey, we have like an art Bible. These are the way, this is the way things look. We have like color choices. In pre-production, we set up this art Bible to create a guide to help our artists keep a consistent style. Another, we just do quality control amongst ourselves. We do review playtests. We point out like, hey, this is actually this is using really high level detail textures, and maybe we want to bring that down even, or the other way where this is really simple. But basically it's a refinement process, and we help guide our team to get the style cohesive.
Okay. Yeah, I think that makes sense. And so this started only in 2021, is that right?
About, yes.
Wow. Okay. And so you're thinking about having it finished by when? Next year?
So it depends a lot. There's a lot of timelines that we have, but essentially we're aiming for, without funding, we have about 2 years of development in front of us. I'm not going to kid myself. If we get funded, that will speed things up quite a bit. We'll be able to, we have a whole thing about talking with the team about it. We'd likely downsize to a small core team, which is still in the best interest of everyone who's volunteered, because that means that they get to have a more successful project on their resume. Everyone's talks through this, and I think we're all on the same page that funding.
How many people have worked on it? Collectively?
Collectively?
Yeah.
Over 100.
Oh my God.
We have a lot of churn is the idea, is that we have people come in, work until you find a job, or your next opportunity or something changes, and move on. And then we pick up some more people. And that's happens a lot, and it works for us. We have a core team that's stuck with us for a long time, and it's and so we're not losing knowledge as people churn or anything like that.
Okay, so you have kind of I don't know, it's like if you played an MMO, right? It's like you have an officer core, but you get different raiders and different people coming in and out of a raid regularly. Okay, all right, yes, I understand that now. Mm-hmm. And so, okay, so you've got, and how many people are really in that core team, and are they getting paid? How does this work?
So we do have cases where we have independent contractors, or there's certain key members who they can't work on the project unless we have some kind of paid arrangement. And that's the exception. The general rule is that we're all volunteers. Our core size is around 12, I would say. It comes and goes. Sometimes a core member will need to leave for a while, stuff like that. We don't like to designate and give people a label of core, but we do have, our production team. We have our leaders. So our 3D art team leads. We have our audio team leads, stuff like that.
Okay. Yeah, it makes sense.
I actually have a question. So out of curiosity, you talked a little bit earlier about some of the inspirations that you've drawn from in this game. Who's kind of your target audience? Are you looking for kind of that core, like golden core horde of people that play puzzle games or people that play stealth games? Talked a lot about IP development, which is something that Jay knows a lot about. Is this something that you're looking to expand into like a greater universe and then build sequels to, or potentially leverage the IP into other genres? Like, is this kind of an isolated experience for a small audience, or are you looking to kind of branch out into larger audiences and take this lore and apply it to different genres?
That's a fun question. There's a bunch of different parts of that. I'll first answer the target market part, which we have on the slides, which is we're looking for people who really value these, or like art house single player experiences. Basically, people who are fans of the same games I am. Generally, this can I don't think there's an easy to give any kind of like demographic range for this, but I do know that people who enjoy the indie scene is the high level of that. We also know that we have a little bit of an overlap with horror fans, because we are in this area of horror. We're not like, Five Nights at Freddy's or anything. We're not jump scare, but people who really enjoyed that kind of aesthetics, I think we have we appeal to them. To answer your other questions about like long-term plans, we are trying to keep our ambitions simple because it's already, a multi-year project. So basically, I'd be happy if the project can generate any kind of revenue once released. If we're looking to expand the IP further, our team jokes about WaxHeart as a racing game, but that's a joke. We don't really necessarily plan a wider version of this, though we have talked about sequel ideas where we're just dumping a lot of the ideas that we know we were not going to be able to get to. There's ideas about basically doing the whole story again, because I guess spoiler, there's like a whole world cycle involved with this, and it could be another version of that world cycle as a sequel.
So you talk about the lore and the world cycle. Obviously, reminds me a lot of Dark Souls, and so you're talking about how like the light was like destroyed, and then now like the people that are like the zombies are trying to eat each other.
Yeah, essentially, I like to keep the symbolism in a abstract state, so to speak, because I think a lot of people look at the symbols and pull their own meaning out of it, and I don't want to be prescriptive with how you should interpret our metaphors.
Okay, yeah, but you don't want to give it away. Well, what I'm asking is like, so you have like there's like a delineation between like the monsters in the game and probably other normal NPCs, right? Mm-hmm. Did the normal NPCs ever cannibalize each other?
Well, at this point in the game, I think there's only one normal NPC who's it's the idea is that everyone has slowly been corrupted over time here. Okay. So yeah, I wouldn't say the normal candle people cannibalize each other. I don't think that's the case.
Okay, yeah, I just figured I had to ask that.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Okay, all right, continue. Sorry.
Oh, I have questions too, or are we? I don't know if I can interrupt too, but I was curious because earlier you mentioned this started as a master's thesis of yours in a project. Like, what was the master's thesis? Was it the volume versus the point?
My thesis is about immersion and specifically game feel. So there's a book that I actually keep on my desk here called Game Feel by Steve Swink. And it really talks about this sensation of, to try to put it in the simplest terms, because, like it's a whole thesis essay, right? But the simplest terms would be that when you are playing a game, it's much like when you're maybe driving a car or piloting any kind of vehicle, where the character that you're controlling is an extension of yourself. And if somebody bumps into your car, you don't say they hit my car. You say they hit me. And it's because the vehicle becomes an extension of your senses, and in some sense, an extension of your identity. So with that, a game character fills that same effect, where they are your vehicle in the digital world. And what my thesis pays attention to, and where my empirical research is in ways to maximize that immersion and basically find ways to amplify how much you feel like you're like in this world. What I found in my research is that having the world react to your presence, just the act of walking through it and having things change as a result, has a really really dramatic effect on how immersed you are. So in our game, we have these little candles in the environment, and when your light touches them, they ignite and they chime, and we treat them like our coins in like a Mario game. Like they kind of pull you through the experience. You're collecting them by lighting them, and we find players really like collecting it, and it engages them a lot. But B, like with and without the candles, we saw people self-reported much higher degree of immersion when the candles were present in the game versus not. Am I making sense?
No, that makes total sense. I mean, it's like when you go through a game, an interactive experience, like that's the difference between that and a movie is that like, you know, the game, the more that it reacts to you, the more you feel like you're actually there. It's also similar, like, you know, I remember way back when we, you know, early RPGs, JRPGs, you would talk to the same NPC, it'd be the same dialogue tree. But like nowadays you can have more interactive dialogue and just sort of those differences. And I think that acknowledgement that you're actually in the game definitely does matter. Oh, that's super cool. I mean, the only other thing I wanted to mention too at this stage, and I'm sure you have a lot more to show us, but like I'm glad that you mentioned Limbo and Inside. Those are like some of my favorite games, and like I think it's smart to keep it like no words. I think the biggest thing that Playdead did was like they took the platform genre and then they like built immersive storytelling just from the action of playing through the platformer. You don't really deal with dialogue trees. There's no decision making, like narrative branching decisions that you're making in the game, but like it's just like you kind of go through the different scenes and the environment kind of unwraps around you and kind of reveals what the story is, and you kind of get a sense of it without being told, which I think is really the magic of it. And like I wonder, I can't believe that you're doing this with like 100 volunteers, because like I think one of the hardest things in trying to create one of these pieces is trying to do that through line of that artistic vision. And I feel like, you know, it must be really hard passing that between a lot of different hands.
Yeah, it definitely is. If there's one thing that I've learned in my experience on this project is that the game director isn't necessarily the vision creator but they're the vision holder, or rather a conduit for the vision. So it's my job to assure that that vision is maintained and communicated. I'm very hands-on. I like to mentor people as much as I can. Personally, I'm a generalist. I touch like every area in game development, and I can help people in pretty much every department. And so I'm able to sit down with people and say, okay, well, this is what we're looking for, and here's why. I think that's working, but yeah, it's definitely a challenge.
Wow. But yeah, I didn't want to stop either. Like, I don't know if are we also going to get a chance to see the demo, or?
Yeah. Well, I wasn't planning to play it here in front of you guys. I think you guys have that set up somehow.
Yeah, I can try it out and just take a look at it. If you guys want to do that, we can just take a quick look. Couple of minutes. Do you want to do that? How you feeling, Michael?
Yeah, I'm wondering if I should probably just knock out the last slides here.
Let's do it. Quick. Let's do that. Yeah.
Last we were talking just about our current focus. I was talking about how we are focusing on our second level and improving our visual fidelity. Also, simultaneously, we're reaching out to publishers and investors. We're hoping to secure funding, like I kind of talked about. At the same time, though, we are hoping for the best and planning for the worst. And our development roadmap is built assuming that we don't find funding. We know it's a really difficult time right now for both people to find work and also for projects like ours to find investment. And also, amongst all of this, we're trying to figure out marketing. We're not personally, I'm not somebody who posts a lot on social media, and we're trying to figure out as a team, like, how do we market this? How do we use like modern like social media marketing techniques with the dark tone of our game? Like, how do we build an online presence? So that's another focus of ours at this time. My last slide here is about our the ask. Basically, any funding that we receive from OTK will be put towards recurring development services and costs. So basically, we've had our Trello, our our task management system for like the last 3 years recently changed the pricing model from essentially free to $5 per user per month.
Wow,
and
nobody's ever done that before.
And now we've gone from basically being really like light and low cost to having a minimum $2,000 a year, but like expense for the project. So this is that's where any funding would go at this point. Now, if we do have additional funding, we would probably look at making an updated trailer. The trailer that we shared earlier was made with a much older version of the game. Art quality has improved quite a bit. We've also learned a lot more about making good trailers. So that's also where we would allocate funds if we should we have that. And that's it. So yeah, thank you guys. We can head over to checking out the demo.
Sure. Yeah, that sounds good. All right. Well, as I'm doing that, I can just go ahead and pull it up, take a look at it. Let's make sure I've got it. Are we good, production, to just take a look at what I'm doing? Okay, there it is. So press shift to heat up. Mm-hmm. And I think maybe the game... Oh, hold it. I thought I pressed it and I that's good. Yeah. So speaking of not reading, so what made you want to get rid of all the words in the game and make it to where you don't have to read? Because I really appreciate that.
Yeah, it's really I think stories don't need to, they can, I guess you could say, transcend language barriers. Really, yeah. I'm looking at the things I like and noticing things I like about them. Mm-hmm. So I like Inside and Limbo and Journey and a lot of these games that are just really like that. You'll also see it in, I think, Animal Well, which I just played recently. Yeah, it's just the style of game that I appreciate, and so does my team.
And so there, right there, if I take a look at that, that's the kind of like, it's literally like the North Star, right?
Yes. Okay. And what the audience didn't see here is when you boot up the demo, we have this little, this intro cinematic. And that cinematic, basically the goal of it is based off, actually Little Nightmares 2 does this really well, where you put a question in the player's mind. You say, what is that thing? And that's it. And then throughout the experience, you're looking for answers to that. And Asmongold, I'm noticing you do a thing that I've seen recently in playtests, and I
immediately go the way that I'm obviously not supposed to. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, and I've noticed that recently, and I'm like, oh, okay. So what I worry about is players getting lost after we made other changes to this area. So I'd probably add like a camera that helps you refine like where you need to go. But you found where you are, so.
Oh yeah, no, I intentionally was doing it wrong. Okay, so yeah, I think all of this makes sense, and you're kind of going to be going through different puzzles, figuring different things out, obviously, and then over time, you're going to be able to, I guess, probably make it over to hopefully at least that North Star at some point. And there's a jump. There's probably going to be a degree of platforming, I'm assuming.
Yes. We do platforming challenges. We have some really, kind of interesting. How do I put it? Our platforming follows some very different conventions here. Oh no! Okay, you're out of bounds.
Yeah, I know. Maybe I can get in the little box. Yeah, there it is.
Oh boy. Yeah, recently we put these like snow piles up against the wall, and they're walkable. So we're trying to. Yeah, it's just the nature of development. This is also an old build at this point. We would probably already fix that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think a lot of that makes sense, absolutely. And so what I'm kind of curious about, right? I mean, now I've just, taken a look. I don't want to go through everything right now. What are you looking to ask us for? You came on the show. What's your ask?
The ask would be for, for starters, just being on the show is already huge for us. So I really appreciate that. Thank you. And if you guys were willing to invest in us, we'd be looking for around 2,000 to help pay for at least another year of development services. Really, I would leave that to you. That would be huge. Basically, every additional bit helps us cover the cost for the next 2 years in front of us. but I guess the minimum, or not minimum, but what I would be asking for is 2,000.
Okay, great. All right. Well, yeah, I think it's definitely an interesting concept, like being able to make a game like this. I think that in a way, like the way the game is being made, I find to be very, very compelling, almost even more so than the game, because it seems like, oh my God, having 100 people working on a game like this, it's like, that is a crazy undertaking, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. So I applaud being able to handle that and do all of that for sure.
Thank you.
Oh, absolutely, man. Well, anyway, there it is, gentlemen, WaxHeart. And if you want to take a look at the game, it is on Steam right now. The demo is about like how long? Probably like an hour or so. Playable demo.
It's about an hour, yes.
Okay, great. Yeah, so again, guys, WaxHeart, you can take a look at it, download the demo right now. And Michael, thank you very much for coming on the show, and I really appreciate it.
All right, thank you, guys. This was awesome.
Awesome, man. All right, I'll see you later.
Kind of neat. Like, I liked how the snow was melting as you were walking through it.
Yeah. I mean, I was worried whenever I saw that. I was like, "How's the dude not melt?" But I guess snow, it's probably easier to melt that than the other stuff. Yeah, exactly.
Oh. Do you think he ate his candle brethren? Is that how he's super strong?
See, that's what I wanted to know, right? It's like, what if you could, there's like some sort of like life steal component, or like you kill another one and then you get their candle and it gives you more health. Like, that's what I was thinking. Like, it's like, obviously this is like, the story for this is like very much not one for one, right? But like, there's a lot of parallels to Dark Souls, and I'm like, okay, maybe I can see what we're doing here. But yeah, I thought the whole idea of it, like it's one of those games where like the gameplay of games like this, I'm not really always that excited about, but like the premise of the games and like the story of them can usually be interesting.
Yeah, maybe if you pitch in some money, you can convince him to do a different route for the game where you can join with the Icker and start eating everybody.
Yeah, exactly, like the cannibalism route. No, I think that's a good idea. We do have, obviously, a number of other games. We have 4 more games. We're going to go ahead and get on to the second one here. And this game is called Peppered, and we have, oh my God, I'm going to mess the name up. I hope I don't. Vasiliy Most, is that right? How you doing, man? Welcome to the show.
You know what? It could have been worse. According to the internet, my name sounds like Vasiliy Most, and you were so close to saying that.
Yeah, I know.
It's fine.
I really, really had to read it 3 times to make sure that didn't happen. Welcome to the show, man. How you doing?
Thank you for having me. I think I'm fine. Hello, everybody. My name is Vasiliy Most. I'm the creator of Peppered, an existential platformer in which you only have one shot at everything. This game is a passion project that I worked on for years in a dev team that consists of 2 people, which is me and my wife, Natasha.
Oh.
Here she is.
Hi.
So, without further ado, I believe we should just watch the trailer, and then I will explain in more details what this game is even about. How does that sound?
Let's take a look at it. That sounds great.
Let's go.
Yeah. Art.
Ooh. So I feel like there's like 3 halves of this game.
Oh, surprise me. What are those?
Yeah. So you've got obviously the first half, which is an arcade game that is like, you know, like a game that probably a lot of us grew up playing. You know, you put quarters into the game. I guess you can't put quarters into this one for an extra try. But basically, right, you've got the second half, which obviously is the office simulator on hard mode. And then the third half is a existential crisis.
You are wrong on all three.
Thank God. Okay.
So...
Sorry.
So, it's an... all right, so how do I explain the game? Basically, it's a game in which every choice, every boss battle, and every failure impacts the branching plotline and determines how the story will go and how will it end. And when I say the game has branching storyline, I mean it branches out heavily, taking you to unique locations with different characters, stories, sometimes completely changing the gameplay mechanics. Hence, you saw The Office that didn't look like anything from the rest of the game.
Right.
So, it's, before anybody asks, no, this is not a roguelite. It's more like a, what was that game called? Stanley Parable. Set pieces in which your actions and your performance influence how the story will go. So, basically, the game works like a 2D platform would. So you jump, you dodge obstacles, you die, and scream at the computer. But the hook is this platformer strings together a bunch of curveballs that I throw at the player. These curveballs include, but not limited to, choices. So, for example, the game will present you with a bunch of choices, like ranging from a dialogue option to actions. And these will impact the characters, how they treat you, how the scene ends, and how the story plays out. Like an example over here, for which video for some reason doesn't play, a legit choice between saving the world or getting a job, which are two different storylines. The other example do we have is boss battles, in which you have only one shot to win. So if you lose, the game will not reset. The story will go on, and it will change according to your loss. And it will impact, again, the characters, etc., etc.
So can you go back? Like, let's say you fuck it up. Can you go back?
No. You get to live with the consequences of your actions. For some reason, also... I believe Ray takes care of the slideshow, and he does not play the video. Why are you doing this to me? Really?
Yeah.
Well, that's amazing. Then let's do it without them.
Okay.
It's just like the game, you know, something failed, and now we're getting a different plot point, and we're going a different route. You know what I'm saying?
You don't get the save state.
It's interesting, because on my end, it works perfectly. So
that's weird. I wonder what it is.
Well, then imagine the amazing gameplay.
I'm imagining it. Okay.
On this slides. So, we also have funny stealth sections, which have multiple outcomes, like you can get caught, you can sneak past, or find a secret solution, like, for example, using a scary mascot to scare the crap out of the sleepy barista. Okay. It could be minigames. I could make you probably fill out the documents, or go through an out-of-nowhere chase sequence where you have to use shopping carts to run away from the bunch of thugs. And all of this, depending on how you do, it all loops back into the branching storyline, and it affects how it goes and how it plays out, basically.
I got a question. So, whenever I play games like this with like a lot of different like alternative endings and like fit together different puzzle pieces, after like the first 2 or 3 playthroughs, it feels like the same game over and over again. How long is the experience meant to be, and how much replayability is this game expected to bring to a customer?
It depends, because there are multiple routes and they are completely different. So when you're saying that, hey, they feel kind of samey, in this case, they are not. They are 100% different, with different gameplay mechanics, characters, and stories. And based on which route you are on, that will be different playtime. So, for example, it could be 4 hours, the more canonical, let's say, playthrough, and the lesser one could go for like 15 minutes. In fact, I believe we should try the demo after the presentation, and we could see it in action, since we didn't see it in action on the slideshow that decides to bugger up on me.
All right, sounds good.
So, since the game is so narrative focused, the story behind it is basically God of Death is coming back. Seeing apathy in the face of the doomsday, an office intern decides to save the world themselves. And the world responds by calling the police hillbillies and media, which all brand them a terrorist. You play as this office intern in question, and the second you decide to save the world. And this action puts you on the collision course with completely weirdo characters who try to stop you any way they can. And depending on how you do, the game will answer a question: can you save the world? Or will you be so bad at it that you will only make things worse? That's the gist of the game.
Great
Can
question.
you do it so badly that you destroy the world?
Yes, you can.
Of course.
So, Asmongold.
Oh, spoiler alert! Dear gosh.
Uh-huh.
Damn it, man. Sorry, go ahead.
So, before we start, one thing I want to... one heads up. The game does not feature voiceover, and it will not. So, would it be okay to ask you to do dramatic voiceovers?
Yes, I will read the text.
Awesome, because I saw you playing Undertale. I know you can do good voices.
Oh, I can do that. Absolutely.
Oh, and another thing I think I should mention. Since the game is so choice-driven, I say let me backseat you a little bit to mention when these choices crop up, but we'll leave the decision-making to Twitch.
Okay.
Chatters, who will definitely have only the best intentions in mind for you.
They're going to help me out as much as they can. Okay, I got it.
Yeah, of course. They'll
Naturally.
be benign. All right, then turn the volume up and let's do this.
All right. Oh, shit, we're going to play. All right, here we go. Make sure I got it ready. Guys, I'm not sure that I have the parsec thing is not working for me. Yeah, I'm not... I'm not into the... Yeah. Can y'all put me in there? There we go. Okay, all right, we're good. Okay, all right. So, we're here, and new game. Alrighty. Are you sure?
You're using a keyboard?
Yes.
Nice.
Is that a problem?
I don't know. You could use whatever you want.
Okay, all right, we'll find out. Am I sure that I want to start the game? Yes, I am. Okay.
Good.
I can't... Wait, I can't... No, I'm not. I can't. Doesn't let me change from no. Okay. All right. I'm just gonna. I guess I'm not sure then.
What do you mean it doesn't let you?
It actually doesn't. Oh, so the arrow keys don't let me, but W and S do. Okay. Never mind. I thought this was some kind of like philosophical trick.
That would be a great
That'd be
idea.
Clever. Yeah.
Just not really lets you play, sort of spite.
Yeah, there'd be a trick that you would have to quit or, just give up, and then it would actually
You would
start.
have to, yes, insert the coin in the disc slot.
Ladies and gentlemen, has everyone got a good view? All right, here we go. Let's try it out. Because it's the moment we've all been waiting for. It's the 100th anniversary of immortality. Oh, that sounds pretty good. Once again, our hero will bring a new life star. And with it, the extended imprisonment. Wait, what? Of the god of death. Oh, that sounds good. Not for him, but please welcome the hero of the evening and every other waking moment. Theodore Glasgliev. Okay. Son, where's he at? Theodore Glasgliev. Where's he at? Theodore.
Yo.
Disaster on immortality. Oh, bro, that fish is stressed out. Theodore Glasgliev vanishes into thin air an hour away from catastrophe. Where did he go? And who will prevent the return of the god of death now? I guess that must be me. Excuse me, are you ready for your job interview? Wait, what? Oh, yeah, of course. Follow me. Okay.
Oh my god, I love it.
Oh, okay. All right, I
You
understand.
can interact with everything on the background by pressing E since you're on a... yeah.
Okay,
It will
got it.
give you a funny line. And you can speed up the text by pressing E again.
Right, okay. Hiding in one of them won't save you from the return of the almighty god of death. Yeah, I thought that whenever I was like 5 years old. I remember that was a core memory for me.
You remember the god of death when you were 5 years old?
Yeah. That was a crazy thing to... Yeah. From a
Call him
job
Santa in America, man.
Right. Okay. And browser's homepage is a social media platform. The latest post is a nude selfie with enormous inspirational piece in the description. Great. Okay, that sounds good. All right, let's keep going. And so there's the little coins there. Press left control to dash. Oh, okay. It's a water cooler. Yep. You're in an office, all right. Okay, got it. Oh, there she is. Guarding life stars is an important task of oh, I read that the wrong way. I have dyslexia. So we
utmost importance.
Right. So we demand a high level of professionalism from every employee. Theodore is still missing. Oh, okay. Well, that's bad. The position of coffee boy is absolutely vital. It requires 30 years of experience as well as a highly ambitious mentality. Uh-oh. Okay, so implore, we must do something. Dismiss, I am not bringing this up until you do.
That sounds like what you go for, Zach.
Yeah, exactly. That's
like
fine.
Ignore the problem till it goes away.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, ignore problems until they go away. It works actually. Don't let anybody ever tell you that ignoring your problems doesn't make them go away. There's tons of problems that you can ignore and they'll go away. Happens all the time. Like, for example, I ignored my teeth and then they went away. What do you guys think I should pick?
Dismiss.
I can see.
Dismiss?
I cannot actually see the chat, so.
Okay.
Everybody goes dismiss. Oh my god.
All right, let's dismiss it. It's not a big deal. Who gives a shit? I won't.
All right. So here's the important bit. This is where the story takes a huge, basically, branching point. So if you take this coffee test, you will become the slave for the company for years until one of two horrible things happen to you, and the game will end in 10 minutes of it just making fun of you. Or you can try to be a hero and steal the life star and try to save the world yourself. You will free yourself from the office chair, you will completely change your gameplay mechanics, well, unlocking the main moveset and whatnot, and the story will go accordingly. So, your call, what do you want? You want a funny office route, or do you want to be a hero and see how you do?
Let's be a hero. How about that?
What does the chat have to say about it?
Depends. Are you being paid overtime for it or no?
Well, let's see. I won't. Here, take this coffee cup. Press E. You can't run. Oh, you tried, but the elevator isn't working. Perhaps there's another exit. So I could... bro, I'm gonna just... Damn it, I can't get out. I can't get away from this.
I love that animation. It's so good.
What do you mean put out a fire with water? You can't make decisions without properly thinking it through. You should really think about the meaning of the responsibility. Okay, can I just like push this guy? I mean, he's right next to the water. Like, he doesn't. We throw him out the window. That's a good idea. Okay.
Oh, it's funny you should mention that.
Oh. Excuse me. The balcony's off limits. Fuck that, bro. I'm gonna get this. It's the Life Star, the very thing able to stop the god of death. Completely unguarded. How convenient. Please step away from our only hope of survival. Look, we have a plan, all right? make the coffee, and then do absolutely nothing until Mr. Theodore arrives, which will be any second now, even though he's 6 hours late. That sounds like waiting for S-Fand. And we can't contact them.
Oh, man. So...
And the god of death is almost free.
Alright, think fast. You either convince her or not. Two different outcomes for this scene as well. Be carefully.
Demand or reason. Give me the star or I'll take it by force. Give me the star and I'll stop the god of death myself. Obviously it's demand. Yeah, it's not even a question. Okay, we're gonna go with this. Tell me, where do you see yourself in 10 minutes from now? Because I see you getting whooped out of here. Behold, my stupid... Wait, what?
I love how everybody picked the stuck-up bitch voice for these characters, like just automatically.
Absolutely. Hello, security? We need a delinquent escorted off the premises. Press left control. Oh, nice. Fabulous. All the best in your employees' employment search. Wait, what? I'm in a...
Oh, yo.
The chair battle?
Oh, I have to knock her off. I get it.
It is a chair battle indeed.
Damn! Get the
See,
fuck
I
out
said
of here.
funny. You should mention that.
Okay. Easiest game of my life. That was a stunning performance, my friend. Only 10 minutes in, and you're already achieving things I could have only dreamt of at your age. Come. You're just the rebellious type I need for my office. Oh, so we just kill her and I get a promotion? Damn, alright.
She's not
This is
dead.
good.
We're still immortal, so she's good.
Oh, well, I thought that the god of death was going to come back because of the star.
He's not yet.
Okay, so she's got an hour that we can kill her and then it'll be okay?
Yep.
Okay, that's nice. Good for her. So I can either save the world or get a job. Well, I'm definitely not going to save the... I'm definitely not going to get a job.
It's your call. If you get a job, that's a different storyline. You will get into the office, and the game will end in 10 minutes.
I'm going to save the world. I'm going to keep going for another couple of dialogue choices. Laughs hysterically. Uh-oh. What? Stopping the god of death. Magnificent. Show us how it's done, soldier. Okay. Oh, shit. Oh, shit, okay. Oh my. So that wasn't a joke? What an odd person. Very well. I'll call the police!
There were two different endings in the office section, by the way.
Really? Do I get promoted in either one of them?
You do.
Oh, okay. Wait, oh shit, wait, I'm in the actual game now, okay.
Yes. Welcome to the actual game.
Okay.
And it gets more and more demented as it goes by.
Oh, that was what I was hoping for. Okay. I can't believe it. First they moved my desk outside, and now the end of the world is happening. Did I misinterpret my horoscope? Ooh.
Dude, who did the writing for this? It's so good.
I did the writing. Before I decided that I hate my previous job, I was a director, screenwriter, and video editor on various projects. And then I decided that, hey, I want to make video games instead, because I love storytelling, and I think games have amazing potential for it.
And what's the story about a strawberry with a gun in it?
You'll see.
Okay. Chief, suspect located.
They
now
did
what?
call the police now, didn't they?
Yeah, that guy looks like a furry. Follow procedure. YES. Evening, suspect. Officer Makeda, Abyss Patrol. You match the description of the star thief. Have to detain you for a search. Am I under arrest?
Give your...
Not yet.
What's your badge number, officer? Inhales angrily. Chief, is an arrest possible without proof of warrant? It absolutely is. I've seen enough videos on Live Leak. No. Rules are rules. You're free to... Oh.
See, it's a complete fiction. You're fine.
So this was not in America. Okay. But I know that you stole that star, and once I find evidence...
What are you talking about, man? This is clearly San Francisco.
Actually, well, yeah, that might make sense. I will legally be obligated to kick your ass. Oh, damn. Okay.
So she needs a proof. Remember how you pushed the lady off the rooftop?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's gonna come back to bite you.
Oh, really?
But you didn't clean up the scene? You didn't go back to
No, if you managed to convince that lady, she wouldn't have fought you. And hence, she would not have told you...
Yeah, go ahead.
So, yeah. She will now tell the police about you, which we will see in a couple of stages.
No, bro, she'd be dead.
She's not. We're still though. You're not dead. You fell just the same, didn't you?
Because I jumped. I didn't have a chair fall on me, you know?
She still has her chair right there. I see 2 chairs, don't you? And one of them reeks of perfume. Who might have owned that one?
So I go to the office chair and it says these shackles no longer bind you. Not that they ever really did. True. I'm a free man. This chair reeks of perfume. That's what you said. Yeah, it makes sense. Damn, how'd you know that? Okay. Alright, well, I can go through and play a whole lot of this, but I think that a lot of the chat, I mean, I'm going to be honest, I think the chat's getting mad at me. I feel like a lot of them really enjoy this game. They really like it a lot. They want to
get mad at you?
Yeah, they're getting mad because they're saying I'm doing spoilers. They want to try it out themselves.
Free demo available right now on Steam.
So it's available right now on Steam.
There's 4 different endings in the demo already.
And
including...
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, including like boss battles, puzzles, and whatnot. Go see for yourself. It's really stupid. But if you're lazy and you don't want to play it, you can go on YouTube and check out. We have a couple of Let's Plays by Manly Badass Hero, Whist, Alpha Beta Gamer. They do have outdated demos, but it's still, the writing is there. So if you want to see the funnies, go ahead and watch it.
Like the funnies. Out of curiosity, where did the name Peppered come from?
Oh, didn't you say you don't want spoilers? You were the first one to tell me.
Okay. We'll leave it there. Okay.
So what was the inspiration for making a game like this?
I mean, have you seen the world lately?
Okay, yeah, that's
the
what I was
last
thinking.
4 years at least.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot more sense.
There was no shortage of inspiration and existential dread, so... Therapy costs money, but video games make money, so here I am.
Well, speaking of making money, what the fuck do you want from us?
I want from you a whole $5.
Okay. I'm
not joking. $5 and I could buy myself a coffee. I will consume it and it will introduce caffeine into my bloodstream.
You probably need more than $5 nowadays.
Oh, I live in Berlin. It's like €4, so...
Oh, okay.
So,
that's
yeah.
Cruise Street Pity.
No, what?
Nothing. Jane, what do you think?
How much more of the game do you have to finish? Like, is it done? It's looking pretty good.
We're 2/3 in. We just need to finish the last chapter. So, basically, to give you more in-depth explanation, the game is sort of like a TV show. It's written like a TV show, meaning there are episodes, and there are a core cast of characters in which we delve into more deeply as the story goes by. Atmospherically, I would say I'm aiming it to be like a mix between Undertale and BoJack Horseman. So it starts off zany, it's funny, and it gets really depressing as it goes by, as we delve into more heavy topics.
Oh boy. That's exciting. Okay. So are you planning to do like an episodic release, or is it sort of like once you have the full third finished, it's like that's it?
I would love to give it full. It's my belief that it's better to release games full, no DLC, no strings attached. You got it and that's it. It's full experience. You don't need anything else.
It's amazing. Agree. And so you mentioned Natasha. What did Natasha do? Like, who did the art and animation? It's gorgeous. I love the pixel art.
That's
love the
Natasha.
animation.
They're saying you did amazing. She can't hear you because I have the headphones on. Yeah, she's the art director of the game. She draws art, she makes animations, and she listens to me drone on endlessly about all the plot twists and characters and whatnot.
That's amazing.
How long have you been working on the game? Oh, sorry, Jen. Go ahead.
Oh, no. Good question, actually. Yeah. How long have you been working on it?
It depends, really. Like full-time, I'd say it's been like 3 years, 2 years. And with Natasha, it's been 5 years. But if we count in the moment that I decided I want to make video games and I started learning my way around like game engine and whatnot, 9 years. 9 freaking years. I was 20 when I started this game.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I guess... Okay, so like I feel like this is your first like big game project, right? Or your first game project in total?
This is the first game I've ever made, yes. And I still even haven't made it yet, so it's still my first something, I would say.
I guess what would you say that this game is not? Because I feel like for people creating their first games, there's a tendency to want to throw a little bit of that, everything. So what is it not?
It's definitely not like your Dark Souls heavy, lots of system type of game, whereas there's a lot of intricate system. It's at its core, it's pretty simplistic, but it's the presentation that makes it count, and the story, and the fact that I believe that having no chance to redo your mistakes and game going on and on and on, accounting for your every failure is way more immersive. So I'd say it's mechanically not complicated is what it's not. It's simple, but it works. It's stupid, it's funny, and at times depressing and sad. And hopefully it will make you feel things.
I see. No, it's a that's awesome. And then do you have like a price point in mind? Like how much as a complete game thinking about?
I'm thinking like $15, maybe 20.
Pretty reasonable.
When's it gonna be done?
Yeah.
It's either by the end of the year or Q1, Q2 of 25.
Okay. All right.
Pretty cool.
Any more questions? I'll be happy to answer them.
How many?
I didn't want to interrupt somebody for the 15th time, so that's fine. Okay. Go ahead, Jen. Sorry.
How many endings or how many possible different combinations did you do the math?
I think right now there's like 8 in total, and there will be more.
8.
As for like routes, I don't want to say it because that would be a heavy spoiler, and people already give me a lot of shit for spoiling stuff, so I'd rather keep my mouth shut.
Yeah.
It's super cool.
Yeah, people were even saying that in chat. They're like, "Oh no, we want to try it out ourselves. Don't tell us what's going to happen." Yeah, exactly.
I'm sorry. It's like a Tom Holland thing. I cannot keep my mouth shut at times. I apologize profusely.
Mm-hmm.
Our fan base give me shit constantly about it.
Okay, well, great, man.
When they're not too busy drawing Rule 34 of my game.
Well, that's nice. Yeah, that's good. It's good to have people that are so invested and
passionate. They're a passionate
Very
bunch.
Passionate. Absolutely. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm going to be honest. I like this a lot. I think it's interesting. I feel like a lot of these, like, almost like, like there's gameplay to this, right? But there's also like a very big, like storytelling visual novel component to it. I think that games like this are really starting to grow a lot more, especially now as it's becoming more accessible to make something like this with a huge studio or anything like that, like yourself.
You're saying you're interested, eh?
I am saying I'm interested. That's correct.
It. Stream it.
You son of a bitch. All right. We'll see what happens. All right.
You drive a hard bargain.
What happens, yeah. It could be good to play, yeah. All right. We'll see what happens. Yeah, I think that people could actually enjoy this. It seems like a lot of the viewers would like it. But yeah, I mean, and it's a demo. It's a free demo that I can play on Steam. Is that right?
Yes, for absolutely free.
Okay, great. Awesome. And so, yeah, anybody, guys, we can have a link in the chat for Peppered. But if anybody else has any other questions, we can go ahead and move on. You guys have anything else you want to add?
One thing I'll say, Vasily, is, I think I think your vision for this game is super awesome. I think just more just stupid, fun, pointless games like this are there could always be more stuff like that. And I love your spirit. I love the fact that you're working on this with your partner. I think that's super cool. And yeah, man, this is something that, you know, I don't know how you feel about this, Zach, but I'd love to perhaps have a sidebar conversation a la Mad Mushroom with you, maybe down the line, Vasiliy, if you're interested.
Thank you. Fun fact, speaking of working with a partner, working on games how we met initially, so...
Really?
Yep. I called Natasha initially to work as the art director for the game, and 3 years later, she proposed.
Wow, well,
so,
good for you.
Damn.
I'm not sure why I'm telling you this, but I can talk on 4 hours anyway, so feel free to stop me at any moment.
Okay, all right, that sounds awesome, man. Yeah, congratulations on that. And all right, well, great. I think obviously, yeah, of course, man. Thanks for coming on. Love to see the game.
Fun.
Well, hey, how about that, guys? Did you guys have fun? Did you guys like the game? The game is Peppered. Take a look at it. It's on Steam, a demo, if you guys want to take a look at it. And thank you again, Vasiliy Most, for being on the show. I appreciate it, man. And so, yeah, what'd you guys think?
We forgot to ask him what hair care products he uses, Asmon. For you, not for me, but for you, of course.
I really need to. Oh, I've been thinking about that every day. It's been bad, man. It's been real bad. But yeah, speaking of existential dread, you know, nothing starts that off like balding. Mm-hmm.
What do you think, Jin?
I love the game. I mean, they got me with the trailer and the little like dialogue. I was like, that's pretty cute, and it's just like. It's got this like Inscription meets Scott Pilgrim meets like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade game vibes to it. That's like, you know, and like it, you know, I saw Asmon play through it a little bit, and there's like this like writing wise a relatable irreverence. I want to say that makes it really just awesome. I don't know. I'm excited. Like I can't wait to test it out myself, play through the demo, just check out sort of the different storylines. I'm curious what that $5 coffee will bring us. But yeah, it's a really amazing game. I'd love to play more.
I like it. I do. I like it. I think it's funny. And, you know, it's got, you know, the tongue-in-cheek humor. You know, obviously the Theodore guy looks like Nietzsche, who says, you know, we've killed death or God is dead. And so it's clever. It's clever in a lot of ways. I like that.
Dude, the like office chair scooting animation.
Yeah.
So funny. Like, who hasn't done that in their first job, right?
Or their 10th. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I liked it. Yeah, I thought it was interesting, and I'm gonna be honest. Like, whenever I got knocked off the little like I guess building, I didn't expect to be able to jump around and move around and all that stuff. I thought it was just gonna be like you're walking around an office, and then it definitely dialed up really quick. But we do have, obviously, we got a number of other games, guys. Like we did, that one was good, but we got 3 more. We're gonna just get right into the third game. I want to just talk about this right now. Next one is going to be a game called Shot One Fighters, and we have another name that I'm probably going to fuck up. Sirio Brozzi, what's up, man? How you doing?
Hey, how's it going? You actually got my name right, so congratulations.
All right.
Yeah, I'm originally from Italy, and I moved over to the U.S. in like 2003, and I just go by SB at this point because nobody can get my name right 99% of the time. But yeah, we're working on Shot One Fighters, which is a throwback fighting game with a twist. And I've got a trailer for you guys if you want to check it out.
Let's do it.
Let's go. So yeah, that's kind of our little sizzle reel. We've been working on this game for about 6 months now. And we just got back from PAX East where we showed it off for the first time.
How was the reception for that?
It was really good. We've got an interesting story for sure. We've been around for like 5-6 years now, and we kind of had to restart our development from scratch.
Why is that?
Because a much larger company kind of took a concept that we were working on and kind of did it with a much higher budget, and it bombed.
Okay.
And basically, publishers came to us and said, "Hey, you guys did everything right, but your current concept's dead in the water. Because if these guys couldn't do it with this large budget, what makes you guys think that you could do it?" So I kind of got together with the team. We talked, and we'd heard over the years, like showing off this other game. They were like, "Hey, your roster, it looks kind of like a fighting game roster." So we had two options. We could have just gone our separate ways, or continued and kind of maybe rebooted it as something else. And we've been cooking on this for so long, and a lot of us are so invested and kind of love what we've been making that we were like, "Hey, let's continue down this fighting game path." And the community's been fantastic. Like the reception has been so supportive. You know what I mean? Because it's a difficult thing to kind of like start over like this. But we went in with a lot of passion. We just cranked out a prototype in 6 months. We took it to PAX, and we're like, "This is the gut check. If people don't like this, we might be cooked." But what happened was everyone's like, "We absolutely love this." There's obviously people asking like, "Hey, what happened to the other thing you guys were working on?" We're like, "Yeah, so and so happened." But we're moving forward, and we're preserving everything that we did. It's just kind of being presented in a new setting.
Well, you got lucky then, right? Because like they just went and probably spent millions of dollars on saving you a bunch of time and money.
I mean, we never had a budget to begin with, so it's kind of like, okay, we kind of like watched a car crash happen in slow motion over there, and we're like, okay, cool. So if you notice, like we're really into like over the top, colorful stuff. Our team is basically a bunch of like we're like 6-7 people in a Discord server from all around the world. At this point, we're all just friends, and we have a strong like community-driven aspect. Like our Discord server is kind of like part of our development. Like we share everything with them. We allow them to cook on the lore, give us ideas for movesets. And I also wanted to mention, in the last few months, ever since we got that prototype out, people were telling us, "Oh, making a fighting game is difficult. How are you guys going to do that?" So we took our prototype and we started emailing it off to some people that we knew in the fighting game space. So we have some allies that have kind of joined us on this journey in this kind of like resurrection of our concept. So like next slide. So we sent off the prototype to basically a bunch of people on Twitter that we knew. I'm a big FGC guy, so I'm a big fighting game player. And I was like, I know a few people, like, why don't we like try sending the build off to them and see like what they think of it? Maybe they'd want to be involved in some way. And what happened blew my mind. Like they actually came back to us and were like, "Hey, this is kind of cool. Like you guys did this in like 6 months. Like, could we get involved in some way?" And we were able to get people like Justin Wong. He's like one of the best Street Fighter players of all time. We were able to get JM Crofts, who's a big FGC guy. Matt McMuscles, who does a ton of content on like retro fighting games and has a huge interest in game development. And they've kind of joined us as kind of, I'd say, designers and producers. And basically we meet up with them like once a month. We send them builds. Like that's going to be the plan going forward. They're joining us from like ground floor. Which,
that's badass. Okay, cool.
Yeah, which I'm like, that's awesome. I didn't expect that to happen. You know what I mean? It was terrifying because I'm like, you're sending a fighting game prototype to like some of the best players in the world. I was like, they're either gonna like tell us like, F off, or maybe say like,
yeah, they're gonna see things that you might not see in the same way. Yeah. No, I get it. Yeah, I'd be stressed out too.
Yeah, it was super stressful, but like this was some good news, because the team needed a win. Like we needed some sort of win, and it's been fantastic. Like Matt McMuscles joined us like last week, for example. And to kind of summarize like what we've been doing, even before the fighters thing, I would say that. So in the next slide, if I could summarize everything in one sentence, Shot One Fighters is a revival of the golden age of arcade-style games. I grew up in the 90s. And I kind of saw the evolution of gaming, and I was always in the arcades. I kind of noticed how like these companies that I loved were like battling it out for like fighting game supremacy, and they only had 10 seconds to get your attention in the arcade. You'd have to like look at the art on the cabinet or a character on the screen, and that's all they had to hook you. They had 10 seconds, and I was like, "That's freaking awesome! That's why I'm going to get into game development." And once I got into game development, I was working on military shooters, live service games, like kind of on an infinite grind. And I was like, what happened to all these colorful games that we want to work on, Like what happened to these PlayStation 2 era games?
Bro, I totally agree with you. I remember like whenever the new Street Fighter came out, I was so happy that they went with that same vibe too, because I think it's just like so really nice to see.
Yeah. So kind of like our whole mentality is like we want to bring back 6th gen. Like we want to bring back games that are both like a full offering. You spend like $25, you get everything. We're not going to nickel and dime you.
So you're not charging for characters or anything like that?
That's not the plan. We want to make it like,
buy
hey,
the game.
Yeah, you buy the game. Beating the boss gets you a new character. Doing some multiplayer matches, hey, you get a free costume. Like the way it used to be done. Like I love that. I love that old idea. Like, and everyone I've talked to, because we're always at conventions talking to people in our Discord, we're like, wouldn't it be cool if we did this? You know, like everything's about live service and monetizing people these days. It's just such a train wreck, I feel, because the priorities just feel like they're shifted the wrong way. And to us, it's just like, let's focus on the fun and the gameplay, and you earn stuff by playing the game. Like it's so great. So overview, I mentioned it's a fighting game with a little twist to it. Okay, so we're making a fighting game and also a roguelite. The aspect I was talking about, the 6th gen, is those older games, they always had a mix of things. They had a good single player, they had a good multiplayer. And a big complaint with a lot of fighting games in the last few years is kind of like the single player is always like half-baked. It's kind of like an afterthought. The focus is on multiplayer and grinding and ranking up and whatnot. And I'm trying to think about like new FGC players that are joining right now. You know, like there's a lot of people that are curious about the fighting game thing, but they find it intimidating. It's scary to them. They're like, you queue into a game and you just get stomped, man. Like, absolutely, yeah. So I'm like, am I going to jump in as a new player to Tekken 8? Like, I'm dealing with people that have been playing it since 1995. You know what I mean? And the controls are like difficult. There has been some good stuff going on in terms of like modernizing the control schemes, but we're like, how can we make the single player even more interesting than like what's been done before? So we've been kind of like brainstorming. We've been looking at the indie scene. I mean, and we kind of came up, I think, with an idea that's cool. So I'll go into that in a second. Regarding the art style, I'm channeling that energy that I talked about. I want games to go back to being colorful, stylized, over the top, like super appealing. We want it to be able to run on like super low end hardware. And you know, I'm the character designer and the art guy on the team. So that's kind of been my jam. Ever since I worked on so much realistic stuff in the industry, I was like, I want to do like the opposite of everything I did in the industry. When I got out, I'm like, I want to do colorful characters. I want to do over the top stuff. I want to detrain myself from that thinking. And the way it's going to play, you know, as I mentioned, we're kind of thinking about like the control scheme. It doesn't matter what skill level you are. You will have access to all the tools, but what we're going to do is simplify the inputs a lot. That means our goal is that when you start playing this fighting game, within 30 seconds, even if you don't know how to play fighting games, you'll be in there doing special moves, super moves. It's going to be accessible. And we tested it at PAX. Like we actually went in, I was like, I don't know how people are going to react to this. We made it so like instead of doing a quarter circle for like a projectile, it was just forward X. And the response was amazing. Like it was actually like people were like, thank you guys for actually thinking about us. Because I usually I'm too intimidated to play fighting games otherwise. But as you notice on the left side, like you'll still have access to every single move that maybe a classic control scheme player will have. So you guys will be playing at the same level. And,
you guys have like really high-end competitive players like providing insight onto this, and so like I'm sure they've asked the question, and you have the answer for this. Then what is the skill gap? How is the skill expression portrayed in the game? Then you know, like because obviously like you know being able to execute those moves is part of that.
Yeah, I mean what's cool is considering that we have 3 different people that are in the FGC space, they all offer kind of like completely different opinions on it. Some are like, be sure to have a control scheme for us guys. They use like joysticks and pads and stuff like that. Then we have the other guys that's like, I agree with this idea. There's a lot of players that are intimidated. So we kind of like amalgamate all the feedback and apply it via these monthly like play tests that we do with them. And it's been amazing, honestly, because that was the biggest question that we got from a lot of like people. They're like, the skill required to execute a fighting game is very high. It's very complex. But with the help of these guys, like they're guiding us through, and they're making us aware of stuff that we would have never thought of otherwise. And that'll allow us to make the best multiplayer fighting game component possible, if that makes sense.
So you had people that just like kind of walked in and they were able to pick up and play and execute combos with relative ease. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, we did a bunch of things which basically facilitated like players being able to do combos easier.
Mhm.
Like for example, if I could give you an example, in some of the older like fighting games, you would have these tiny windows to do links to do combos, like 1 frame. So we're like, what if we extended it to 6 frames?
Mhm.
And all of a sudden, like what you feel like you want the character to do is happening on screen, way easier, if that makes sense.
I do understand that. Yeah.
So kind of just loosening everything up a little bit and making it just like funner to get in, jump in, have fun. And then that's kind of what we've been doing. It's working out so far. That's kind of our design philosophy. And the thing that we like to do that's a bit different, compared to like when I worked in the industry, we would work on a game for 5 years and then at the last minute just shotgun it out and hope for the best. And then dump a bunch, like I'd see the higher ups dump a bunch of money on like streamers at the last second, and like
that was
game
great.
For 8 hours. Yeah, I'm sure it was. Yeah, but it was like, why didn't we start showing stuff off earlier? Like, why didn't we show off the game in an earlier state and get feedback? When I was a low level at these companies, these were the questions that kept popping up into my head, and it was driving me crazy because I'm like, we're putting all our eggs in a basket. We shotgun this game out and hope for the best. And like, so that's kind of where the idea came from. Like, what if we brought like people that could like be spokespeople about like what if we brought FGC people in from an earlier stage and had them kind of like work on it and then evangelize it later? You know what I mean? It seemed like a natural, like a no-brainer, if that makes sense.
No doubt. I'm seeing a lot of other companies doing the same thing now. Like after like, you've seen like obviously like we do that with Mad Mushroom, Donkey did that with Big Mode, and you're seeing a lot of other people that are like partnering with the developer or partnering with somebody to like make a game, or games are being made with the insight of like different creators. I think it's a really good thing.
Yeah. That happened at PAX. We met somebody we met somebody called Alex, and he kind of introduced us to the idea. Like he kind of like planted the seed in our head.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's genius. Like, why don't we do that? Why don't we try contacting these creators? But anyways, I don't want to get caught up too much, so we can keep going on the slides.
Sorry.
So in terms of roster, as I said, I designed all the characters, and my whole thinking was to basically do everything I was told not to do in the industry.
Okay.
I worked at companies where they're like, you can't do anything anime inspired. You can't do anything with like anthropomorphic characters. You can't do a kitty in a mech. It was like so limiting. I felt like I was kind of in a box. So by the time I kind of like switched to indie because I got so burnt out, I was like, let's just have fun with it. Like, this is my Bible. This is what I grew up with. I grew up with like 90s Capcom, and they were having so much fun back then. Like, they were just going absolutely crazy with their designs. And it was kind of that arcade thinking, as I mentioned. In the 90s, they had 10 seconds to get your attention. And I'm like, why can't we bring that back?
Yep.
So the whole idea is like, by having such a variety of characters, there's something for everybody. Like that's the way I like to look at it. Every character is completely different. They all play different. Like some of them are beginner friendly. Some will be more advanced. Some will be very technical. But we kind of design, like, for example, Vlad and Volley will feel like a Ryu or a Ken. You can pick them up super quickly. They do projectiles. They feel familiar. But the thing about our characters, which I'd like to stress, is we designed them with like story first. You know what I mean? One big peeve that I've had about like a lot of live service games and some of these other like franchises that are coming out, they release all these cool characters, and I go into their Discords. I'm like, hey, like, what's the backstory behind this character? And I get nothing. Like, they're just like, it's cool looking. It's kind of like a badass character. It's got a 1-sentence piece of lore to it. We designed every character working with our community, and we kind of built up entire backstories for them. There's lore, there's motivations for every character, because I feel like people care about that. I wish companies would work more with their communities.
Well, I think that you're 100% right on that. Like look at, for example, gacha games. Like, people like the characters so much they spend $1,000 on them.
Yeah,
like, come on.
Yeah, and I'm like, the way I look at it is kind of like again, I grew up in the 90s, so for me it's like looking at this like a Saturday morning cartoon. I would love to do stuff outside the game. I want to do like maybe an animated series outside of it.
Sure.
Because our community that we've been kind of like fostering, they've all like latched onto the characters early on. Like, even before we showed gameplay, like we were getting stuff like fan art. We'd have people in our Discord server saying like, hey, what's the story behind this character? Like, what's the deal? And we have like a lore channel. We literally discuss stuff with them at an early stage, and it helps us with our development. and I'm really grateful to them, honestly. Like some of them have led some amazing ideas, not just story wise, design wise. And that's one thing I would say to AAA if I could. If I could have a platform with them, I'm like, work with these people that are your fans. Like, they are the best asset. So just to give you an idea, in the next slide, somebody that joined our Discord server ended up being an animator. So we ended up collaborating on a reveal for one of our characters. Like, just like that. It was just this organic thing. He's like, I love characters, you know, I'm an animator. I'm like, let's do something together. And we did this thing.
Let's see it.
Oh, come on. Junk. Oh, hiya. Name's Volley. Nothing's ever been easy for me. There are obstacles everywhere. Especially with trying to take this hunk of junk apart. I wouldn't have it any other way, though. Where's the fun without any challenges, you know? These joints might be a little rusty, but I'm ready to give it my all.
Damn, so you just had somebody on Discord just come up with that?
Yeah, his name's Yerkdiff, and he's
wow.
Like, now he's working on another indie game. He's working on like Billy Bust Up right now as an animation director. I'm like, this is what companies are missing out on. Like, this type of collaboration. It's fun. There's so many talented people out there. It's crazy. And we've had multiple people from our community join us as team members as a result of stuff like this. Like, we just like identify. They're like, they're in our Discord server. They're sharing their work. I'm like, dude, this guy's awesome. Let's do something with them. And we're doing this with like no budget. We're literally doing this with no budget. We've been with no budget for like 5-6 years.
Is that why you're here?
Yeah, I'm not joking. Our office is our Discord server. We literally we fund ourselves by just basically doing freelance and work on the side, and we just shove it in a pot and we use it to like fund everything that we do. Yeah. It's been nuts, but a lot of indie devs are in the same boat. I think I'm not the only one that's ever said this. So on the next slide, I guess this is just more like a multiplayer thing.
Okay, go on.
We just wanted to kind of like show where we kind of fit within the spectrum of like fighting games, and because we're like, okay, there's a bunch of fighting games out there. They're way bigger than us. Right. So where do we kind of fit? And our whole idea is like, okay, let's do something that's maybe more inspired by a slightly older fighting game, make it accessible, but keep it also strategic. Because a lot of the modern, like more anime fighters, for example, they're so hyper accessible that you will, for example, just press like X, 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 and they'll just do everything for you. So we're trying to make it that you have 6 buttons at your disposal, a light, medium, and a heavy, and you just have simplified input. So it kind of like eases you into like how to play fighting games. You wanna take it to the next level? You want to learn to do motion inputs? You can, but you will be just as competitive without it. We're kind of catering to both of those crowds. But as I mentioned, like, we're not trying to be a live service game. We're literally just making a game that feels like a PlayStation 2, early PlayStation 3 title. It's, you pay a price, you get the game, you get some basic online to mess with, you have unlockables already in the game, and you get a single player too. And more on that. So let's move on to the next slide. So we were kind of discussing brainstorming with the community, and we had all these assets from the previous game that we were working on. You know, the one that we had to kind of scrap because, you know, what the big company kind of like did the concept or whatever. And we were like, you know, like, what if we tried something that maybe resembles like an action roguelite? Imagine a game where I'm a huge fan of Slay the Spire, for example. Okay. And it's on a 2D plane, and you're fighting enemies and you play cards. I'm like, what if you remove the card aspect, like having to play cards, and it was more like action oriented? You know, what if you could build up a moveset? You could start off with just like basic normals and maybe like a simple projectile, and then you get all the same kind of like augments, upgrades, and interesting items that allow you to kind of like make each run completely unique. But the whole idea is like it would be story driven. Every time you die, you would just go back to a hub world. Our whole idea is all story driven. There's a whole narrative behind it. It's Volley, our main protagonist. She's kind of stuck in a paradox void that's kind of like Groundhog Day, and she's trying to escape it. So, and thanks to this idea of like these shards, as we call them, each zone will be like super different. We'll have one that's like based off of Queen Q, who's our cat in a mech, and there's you'll be fighting like cat-based enemies. same thing you'd expect from any roguelike, but make it a fighting game. And I think there's a very interesting concept there that hasn't been done before. So
I like that idea a lot, actually. That's super interesting.
So we did all we did. So we haven't done any work on this. This is basically all within the last few weeks. We've just been making the design document for it because like we want to execute on it. So if you move on to the next slide, for example, like this would be you fighting, for example, a zone boss. You know, so like the big bruiser boss.
Right. Yeah.
And you'd already have like some items. You'd have some abilities already built up. And the whole idea is like, yeah, using your skills. The items that you get, you can kind of like hopefully take this guy down, or he might like one-shot you if you don't have the right build out. But that's the whole appeal of the roguelite stuff, right? It's all about getting that good run going.
Yeah.
And if you move on to the next page, we want to have the same kind of like augment and upgrade system. It'll still be card-based in a sense, but you're building up you're choosing between abilities, or maybe like a cursed artifact that gives you like 100% more damage, but you can no longer heal. Or maybe you get an augment, a medical bot that can heal you for 30% of your health before you fight an elite or a boss. You know, it's the stuff that people are used to, but in a completely new setting. And it's way more action-oriented. And I think this will appeal to people that, you know, don't want to be sweaty. They don't want to be online and playing multiplayer and ranking up. There is a huge market of people that are interested in fighting games, and I think this would be the best way to ease them in. And they'd never have to touch multiplayer if they don't want to.
I think that's probably one of the biggest, that's the biggest weakness that I think fighting games have, and that's why they're not a lot bigger, is because like how do you go from like point A to point Z like that fast, right? Because like the campaign is usually like just a few cutscenes and it's not that hard, and then you immediately queue in, and like the skill gap is so huge. It's just like, I think a lot of people get really intimidated by that.
So here's our design thinking with this. This would basically ease you into every mechanic.
Okay.
You would start off with just like punches and kicks, you know, some blocking. Then you'd get your first ability. Then you'd get your second ability. And you see how it kind of like just eases you into kind of like learning, okay, I can do an uppercut in this kind of situation.
Well, I totally understand the logic, right? Because like basically like these different artifacts and bonuses that you get in between the levels give you a reason to use a different type of gameplay that teaches you the character. Is that the logic?
Yep. And the whole idea, I think, is we want these runs to eventually get disgusting. Like you'll have like a level 20 projectile that is the size of the screen, or maybe you launch out like 15 projectiles in a row every time. It's the same kind of fun that's like in a game like Binding of Isaac, for example.
Yeah.
Like things can get broken, you know what I mean? That's going to be the long-term appeal. Yeah, or Vampire Survivors.
Yeah.
My friend Andrew, he has it so broken that it literally breaks his computer when he does a run. Because he's like level 500 everything. So yeah, that's kind of like what we're going to be asking for. So moving on to ask. Quickly. So we have a proposal. Okay. And our proposal is, if you guys support us, we're asking $5,000 towards the development of the single-player roguelike mode. We want to prototype out basically a run. We will create a cursed OTK room. It's a cursed encounter that you have, in which you guys will always provide items that will ruin the player's run in some way or another.
Naturally.
And this one, for example, this is the $2 stake card. It's a card that has an unintended side effect. It might prevent you from jumping anymore. It might have some other effect. It might be, and maybe all three of you might be different part of the same cursed item team, you know, depending on the. So that's kind of the idea. Like, you guys will basically get a special encounter room. We're offering that as an incentive to you guys. And we're basically asking for $5,000. We're going to put all of it towards the development of the single player concept that we proposed. As I mentioned, we're pretty early in development, so we're only 6 months in. So stuff like prototyping funds right now is life-changing. You know?
That's pretty attractive, isn't it? Status effect. Tummy troubles, can't jump.
Exactly. We'd work with you guys. You guys could propose. You guys would all have like the same like OTK mysterious outfit. Maybe we could swap you guys all out every time. You know, it's like a random chance. And we'd create a whole set of horribly cursed items based off your preferences. But yeah, that's basically the pitch for Shot One Fighters. It's kind of a throwback where you get everything in one package. and it's a fun time. You don't have to worry about live service style monetization.
Mm-hmm.
It's low pressure. There's something for everybody. If you're curious about fighting games but you want a single player experience, we got you there. If you want a multiplayer aspect, it's going to be built by some of the best minds in the fighting game space. Best of luck to all the indies out there right now. Honestly, it's been kind of difficult out there this year, but I think we're the future. We're all burning with desire, if that makes sense. We want to be given that chance to shine. Again, thank you guys. Thank you guys for even doing this. Honestly,
100%. I know Jane and Tips probably have questions. Like, how do you feel about while they're asking questions, I can just show some gameplay. Sure. I plug my controller in. Okay, cool. Let's do that.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Sorry, go ahead, Jane.
Oh no, why don't you start? Yeah.
I was just gonna say, I'm not gonna lie. Going into the FGC side of this, for me, I'm always very skeptical of fighting games because so few do well, especially new ones on the scene. And I am one of that, I'm one of the people that sucks really bad at them and is super intimidated by them. So I really like the fact that you're simplifying the inputs, but more importantly, the roguelite element. I'm a big fan of roguelikes and roguelites, but the fact that you're also using it as a way to onboard players into the multiplayer mode by teaching them the mechanics, while also having a really cool game mode that's it's roguelike, so you naturally play it over and over again, so hopefully you learn the mechanics, over and over again, and you perfect them before getting to multiplayer. That's super interesting. Is there any plans for a meta progression mode in the roguelite mode, or is it just roguelike where you just constantly start from zero, go back to the beginning?
As I mentioned, we want it to be a story-driven experience. Oh, jeez. See, he was able to do the super move with one button. We simplified it like that. The whole idea is that there will be an ongoing narrative. So every time you die, you go back to basically a hub world in which the story will slowly progress. Kind of if you're familiar with Hades.
Mm-hmm.
We love that idea. And there's going to be multiple characters that appear. There's going to be cutscenes that we want to do in the style that you saw earlier. It's going to be something that you just want to keep playing to kind of see more. I loved what Hades did, for example. It was genius, that the fact that they had it every time you die, something changes in the hub world. New conversations appear, new characters appear, a new room opens. I freaking love that because, as we mentioned, we're all really into story. We feel that it engages people very deeply, and especially in a fighting game sense, a lot of people kind of find their mains, if that makes sense. They find a character that resonates with them, either gameplay-wise, look-wise, story-wise. And in our Discord server right now, we have factions, for example. Whenever you join, you get to kind of pick a character that represents you or your faction. And as I mentioned, I think there's a really cool idea here, and I would love to take this, bring this out to everybody.
Yeah. Great question about the meta progression tips, because I feel playing through a lot of the roguelites, there's some balance involved with making sure that every time you play through, there's something that you're gaining or winning, or you're progressing towards something on a tech tree or whatever. So getting that right, I feel is so vital to getting the replayability right with these kinds of games.
My biggest thing, I would say, is we want to make the items very interesting, for example.
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing that I loved, but that makes a good roguelike, I feel, is when they have fun with the items. So as I mentioned, the Asmon $2 stake card, and it doesn't have a description. All it says it has an ominous aura, and you get it, you're like, wait, what did this just do? You know what I mean? And then you have to go talk to people online, or look up a wiki or something, and they're like, oh my god, this thing I can't jump anymore in a fighting game. What the hell? Or something worse than that. That's going to be key. And right now, I think we have about 200 items that we've designed on paper, which are going to be kind of presented by cards. You'll basically be choosing between abilities that affect you, that are in the game, like a move. You'll have augments, which are kind of passives, and then there's going to be the rare artifacts or cursed items, which have a much larger effect on your playthrough.
Mm-hmm.
Have you considered just focusing on the roguelite side of the game? And just bear with me here for a second, but I think the problem with trying to do roguelite and the multiplayer sort of semi-competitive mode is it's kind of like with World of Warcraft. Blizzard does PvP and then they do PvE content. And some of the abilities that are designed for PvE don't really work well in PvP, or they're very imbalanced. So they constantly have to nerf and buff and adjust the game because there's two different game modes that they're trying to take into account. And usually one of the game modes suffers as a result. Have you thought about, you know what, let's put the multiplayer on the side, let's focus purely on like an awesome fighting game roguelite, invest all your time and resources into having amazing builds, like super diverse builds, abilities, just absolute craziness to make the game stand out a little bit more, rather than trying to appeal to potentially two different communities. Because people that play roguelites, like a Hades, for example, or Vampire Survivors, versus people that play like a hyper-competitive, like, you know, fighting game, the FGC, those are two very different communities. I'm just curious how you can reconcile both, if it's even possible, and would it be wiser to spend resources trying to appeal to one community or the other?
If I could say from a high level, I think it's time for some new ideas in the industry. It's time for us to try some new stuff. You know what I mean? Because I feel like we're always pushed into one box or another. Do you know what I mean? Like there's been this trend, even in the indie space right now. It's like everyone wants, like, there's a huge prevalence of publishers pushing you to make a roguelike, or just make a city builder, or, you know, it's like a trend chasing thing. So I'm like, why don't we try something new here? We could do it with very little resources compared to like a AA or AAA studio. To me, I'm kind of like, let's try some new things, and I think there's a lot of overlap between those communities potentially. But I mean, there is a direction where, you know, a publisher comes to us, like whoever ends up giving us the funding, for example, to make this game, they might put us in a situation where it's like we have to focus on one or the other. You know, as I mentioned, at this early stage, anything's possible.
Okay, yeah, I mean, a lot of that makes sense. I mean, that's I kind of like that, and I feel like, yeah, Tips brings up a good point. I feel like if you go into it assuming the PvE is primarily for fun, where people can like try out different builds as a learning tool, etc., and you don't worry about hyper balancing around it, then I feel like it would be okay, right? And that probably would be what your perspective would be. I'm not sure. Yeah. But yeah, no, I feel like fighting games are definitely like one of those genres where I feel like there are just like the mainstream, mainline 30-year, 20-year plus, 10-year games, and people don't really go outside of that. So it's really good to see like a smaller game come in, try to shake up the space. I like this.
Yeah. To give you guys some context, the last big indie game came out 12 years ago for fighting games, and it was Skullgirls. It went on to sell something like 3 million copies. It's on mobile with 50 million downloads.
Damn.
The next game that came out that was 2.5D was called Rising Thunder, and it was picked up by Riot. And it became 2XKO. So we looked at the market, and I was like, there's a giant hole here that's not being filled at all right now. We have Japanese devs making lots of fighting games right now, and the fighting game genre in itself is seeing massive growth at the moment.
It's so big, man. Like, especially the esports thing. It's huge.
And one thing that's curious about fighting game players, something that I heard, especially I'm in the FGC space, is they will buy every fighting game no matter how good, no matter how bad it is. That's a curious behavior that fighting game players have. They're just so hardcore that they'll purchase everything. But, you know, we kind of like, we've got like numbers here that kind of show like, hey, this does sell. Like there is a market for this. Nobody's looking though. Everyone's just like, okay, there's Street Fighter 6 and Tekken 8. But as I made the argument, there's nothing for new players.
Right.
You know what I mean? They're having to jump into franchises that have been around for like 25 years now. And a lot of them are not interested. They're intimidated. They're scared. So to us, it's like, hey, here's a warm embrace. Here's a fresh start for you. You know what I mean? In this casual, affordable package, you know, come join us and we'll embrace you with open arms. You know, we talk to everybody in our Discord, for example. Everybody that joins us, like all the devs are in there. That's our office. You know what I mean? Like we love talking to people about stuff like this. So yeah, it's kind of a interesting proposal that I'm making. But I do think the industry does need a bit of shakeup, you know, like just we need some new ideas. We need to experiment with some genres again. We need to maybe try the 6th generation thing where you just get everything without getting like monetized constantly. You know, I think people are getting tired of it.
They are.
There's exhaustion setting in. Does that make sense? Like
there's a certain amount of fatigue. You know, every game has a battle pass.
Yeah.
You got like 3 different streaming services. Yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah, or I worked in the industry for like 10 years, and like I was so disappointed by what I saw because like games would be spun up, and the first questions being asked was like, "What's our business model?" And I'm like, what are we doing here? Like, what am I working on? I want to work on I want to work on video games. You know what I mean? I want to embrace my childhood. I want to do what made me happy as a kid. You know what I mean? So we're kind of like riding off that spirit, and I think a lot of people have resonated with that.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. And if people want to try the game, can they try the game out yet themselves?
No, we don't even have a Steam page yet. That's how early.
There it is. Okay, so you're early stages, and so so people can follow you on Twitter. They can use obviously the little
QR
link
code.
there.
Yeah, we have a
the
Discord.
QR code.
We have all kinds of stuff. And
okay,
so,
cool.
Hey, come chat with us. Like
there it is.
We'd love to talk.
Well, what's your timeline?
Our timeline at the moment, if we're able to get funding, would be somewhere between 18 to 24 months. So right now, as I mentioned, we're in the prototype stage.
Yeah.
If we get some of our ask, we're going to start working on the single player prototype to kind of like shoot off to round out our package. And then we'll just basically move on to production. The way we want to work is kind of just have a small core team, like 6-7 people, and then we just work with a lot of like amazing people from our community. There's freelancers, there's people of all kinds of like amazing talents just floating around on Twitter. I'm constantly just contacting people like, hey, can you do like a concept art of one of our characters? Like we do stuff like that all the time because sometimes they interpret our designs in a way that we didn't think about.
Yeah.
You know, and so I have like a laundry list of people I'd love to work with at a higher capacity if we get the funding. So that's kind of where we're at right now. We've been around for a while. Everybody that's on our team at this point they kind of believe in the vision. You know, they believe in the dream, and yeah, that's kind of where we're at.
There it is. Okay, awesome. Yeah, I mean, again, I'm kind of curious to see where this goes, and I know a lot of people probably will be able to play the demo whenever it comes out. I guess at some point. And you guys can follow the Discord and go to the website right there, the QR code. And yeah, Sirio, thank you very much for coming on the show and showing us your game.
Pleasure talking to all of you. Seriously, this was so anxiety-inducing.
You're welcome.
Yeah, all right. Thank you, guys. Cheers.
For sure, man. Dot One Fighters, check it out. All right, well, damn, that's an interesting game. I'm glad to see more fighting games that are coming out that are like outside of the Tekken, Street Fighter, like you could say Smash, right? But like, what's the other one? Mortal Kombat, like there's like maybe another one or two, and it's good to see other games coming into the space, especially with how enthusiastic the fighting game scene is. Like sometimes I'll watch like 20-minute compilations of like drama in the fighting game community. Oh my God. They got it like no other. It's great.
Yeah, so like I would like to hear like indie fighting game because you don't come across too many of those that often. Oh, am I muted? Can you hear me?
You should be good, yeah.
But yeah, I get a little bit nervous about like because the roguelike game also sounds super cool. I get nervous about like an indie team trying to do both because I think doing one really well, I would want to put my full effort in if I was going to tackle one. So, but hey, maybe they've got something magic there. It sounds like they've got a lot of volunteers and a good growing community. So it's not to say that they can't do it. It's just like me, I'd be it's a lot to take on, I think.
Oh, it sure is. Yeah, I agree with you. Well, anyway, guys, we have 2 more games, but you know what's crazy about a show is sometimes the show has a commercial. We actually have a sponsor. Remember Ally? Well, they have something they want to show you guys right now. Let's roll the tape.
Hey, I'm Lena from Gloucester, and I hope you're enjoying this episode of Pixel Pitch. We're creating Fitment, a free and cute mobile game designed to make exercise fun and easy. Fitment offers friendly micro-workouts that you can do anytime and anywhere. As you progress, you get to decorate your virtual home and customize your Fit Buddy with adorable outfits. Thanks to Ally, we've connected with amazing developers and content creators at their Diversity Focus events. We're thrilled to be part of this, celebrating indie devs all around the world. Visit playfitment.com to join our community and follow our journey.
Well, there it is. Take a look at it, and wanted to roll that real quick and show you guys that before we go ahead and we move on to our 4th game. And our 4th game here is going to be called Heretical, and it's going to be from Vladimir. Oh, there's some accent things. I'm not sure if I'm going to get this right. Perić. I believe. Welcome to the show, Vladimir. How you doing, man?
I'm so excited to be here. I can't tell you how fast my heart is racing right now. I don't think you guys realize how much you're doing for the indie community. So this is such a tremendous chance for us, and thank you for having us on. The game that I want to showcase to you is called Heretical. It's a top-down action RPG. We've been working on it for quite some time now, and I think it's best that we start with a trailer, and I'm gonna talk over it.
Let's do it.
Because there's a lot to cover. So, like I said, it's a top-down action RPG with Souls-like elements. And, it has like a strong focus on the roguelite aspect of it. Every run takes between 20 to 40 minutes to complete. And during the run, you'll be gaining levels and items. Every time you level up, you're offered different skills similar to how it's done in Hades or Vampire Survivors, with the option to reroll and banish. And every item goes to a loot treadmill that basically shows you different items one by one. We don't have an inventory, but instead you just pick whether you want to discard or keep the item you just got. And whatever gets discarded goes straight to gold, which can be spent in a shop to buy more items or new skills.
Do you keep the gear between runs?
No, you don't. So every run is fresh. So once you're done with the run, you're taken back to the hub. In the hub, you can complete prophecies to unlock new skills, new unique items, even new playable characters. And there's also like a skill point system, which we call the Velo Stars. It works a bit different than in other skill systems. Basically, you pick up these stars in the world, so exploration is a pretty important part of Heretical. It's important to notice that the world itself is static, but the enemy placement is randomized. So, it's really great to learn this world because there's a lot of shortcuts, a lot of, secrets to find. And shortcuts are important because we didn't want to limit your run with a timer because we didn't want to, limit your exploration and punish it. Instead, we have a mechanic that we call darkness. And basically, it allows you to kill a certain amount of enemies before consuming you. And it lets you fight out of this shadow realm, but it's going to cost you some health. So, you're going to be damaged afterwards. So you have different classes? How's that work? Because I saw the menu. How's that? Yeah, so basically, like I said, the prophecies allow you to unlock different things, among other things, new characters. They're not necessarily classes, it's just like that they have different preferences for the gear they're going to use. So, for example, a warrior would like to use a sword and board, while a mage would prefer wands and staves. And also,
a
they
warrior
have,
could use a wand if they wanted to?
Yeah, it could, absolutely. But, Elementalist has a higher proficiency, so he does more damage with it or gains some extra things like crit chance for spells or something like that. Besides that, they also have each a unique starting ability, which is unique for every character. And you unlock these characters by starting a quest chain by finding them somewhere in the world. Like you just saw somewhere there's a certain point at this. At this point, there's a certain point in the level where the run ends, and you can see the victory screen showcasing like which skill did what, how many enemies it killed, how much damage it did, because we're absolutely certain that there's gonna be a lot of min-maxers in our game, and people are gonna obsess with the stats and everything. So before, diving deeper into those systems, I would just like to briefly talk about the process and the team. So there's currently 5 of us working full-time on the game, and there's 2 more people working on the side as contractors. Previously, we did a bunch of games, some of them indie, some AAA. We worked on both mobile and PC and also consoles. And for this particular game, I think, for us, our design philosophy is basically we cherry pick what we like from different games and different genres, and try to mix match those mechanics to make like a new unique experience. And then we do like 10 to 15% innovation, and that's where the darkness mechanic comes in. And I think it puts a nice little twist to the genre by limiting you in such a way that you're not, punished for exploring, but rather like you're constantly making a trade-off between upgrading your character and progressing further into the story and everything else. So as for the visual style of the game, the art style is obviously inspired by retro games, but the tone and feel is more akin to Dark Souls and Shadow of the Colossus. The games you're seeing right now are one of my favorites, and I take like heavy inspiration from that. And plus, because we're a small team, we play to our strengths. We don't have like a lot of people in the art department. We mostly focus on gameplay and mechanics and programming, and which is why we had to invent a bunch of new tools and stuff to speed up the process and make sure that the development goes faster. So speaking of the game, the gameplay loop itself is a typical roguelite. But the thing about this one is before you start each run, you have a chance to look at your prophecies, which are basically like quests, but they basically give you a direction in your run so that you can focus on a certain thing. So, for example, you have a prophecy that requires you to deal a certain amount of poison damage, or another one that requires you to do fire. So that means that you have a chance to focus on those kind of skills in that particular run. So it, encourages you to try out different builds, not be stuck with a single character and stuff. But obviously, everybody in our team, and whenever we did playtests, people have their favorites. There's, play styles that simply resonate better with them. So we offer a lot of like play style variability. And I think that, speaking of, I think that's like what this game is really about. I think it's about build variety, being able to specialize in different things. And, once we start playing this after the slides, you're going to see how the game is going to pick up slowly. It's going to teach you the mechanics, the basics, and, just get you into it. But as you progress through the level and unlock new things and new skills, items, it turns more into what you're seeing on the right. Basically, you become a killing machine, but there's new challenges now. You're being swallowed by darkness more often and stuff like that. So it's a lot of, balancing your expectations and the play styles and stuff like that. So where we're at right now. So the game has been in the development for the past year. Initially, we started small. We wanted to make like a 3D Vampire Survivors, basically. But, me being me, I can't really keep it small, so to speak. And we pivoted into something more like closer to what it is right now. And currently, the game itself is about 30 hours long to complete everything it has to offer. But the demo, which we're about to release in a couple of weeks, offers you the first 5 to 10 hours of experience. It's basically limiting you to the first 2 areas of the game.
Real quick, so you have the demo, and do you have a Steam page? Because I was going to have them.
We absolutely have a Steam page.
Can y'all link the Steam page? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so we're currently collecting wish lists, and our goal is to try and release the early access version of the game closer, but somewhere late this summer, and the demo is going to be available before that. The game that you can play at your machines right now is not the demo version; it's the full game of what we have at the moment. But it's definitely going to be enough to like get a taste of it. So. Speaking of timeline, like I said, it's about a year in development, and the amount of content we've managed to achieve and like everything we've done so far is only possible because we were smart about tooling. So each of us has like a lot of experience in the industry. Me personally, I've been working on games for like 15 years now. and I focus on proceduralism, on making things as quick as possible to iterate and tweak, because for this particular project we had a playable demo on the second week of development, which is basically something we immediately sent out to everybody we know to make sure we're on the right track. And we kept doing that for the past year, which is why the game is feeling more or less polished, and the gameplay is what it is right now. Oh, so you're playing. Well, so let's see. The Pixel Pitch. Do you want me to go over the ask now, or should we see how
I've got
Tips does?
Yeah, you know what? Let's just see how Tips does. So you can pick those different... You can pick these different options here, right? And so, like, there are obviously, like, you probably are going through the traditional, like, rarity, like, things, like, blue is uncommon, yellow's rare, okay. So, like, and the gear, basically, so you have, like, two different, like, what do you get leveling up versus what do you get looting gear? Like,
So
how does this work?
when you level up, you get a skill choice. So you get to pick a skill, and Tips already picked out a ice shards.
Yeah,
So Tips,
it's like icicles or something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
I got
So
it.
Tips, if you hit escape, you can hover over anything there, and it's gonna explain what it does. Basically, you get to min-max everything. If you hover any of the stats on the left side, it's gonna tell you exactly what it does. Because
play
I'm the
PoE?
kind of... Oh yeah.
Yeah, I
So-
bet.
Yeah, like God knows how many thousands of hours. But that's the min-maxer in me. I sat behind this, and whenever I played it, I was constantly missing information, so I made sure that everybody like me gets a chance to focus on different things, try out different builds. We even borrowed, so to speak, a couple of mechanics because they felt great, like chaining projectiles, multi-shots, and stuff like that. But then we also make sure to balance that out by introducing difficult bosses and stuff. So,
Well, question about the inventory. So when you said there's no inventory, so does it just auto equip? Is that the idea?
yeah. So Tips, if you go back, right now these are all the items that he decided to keep. But if we go back to the game and you press the icon for a new item you just got, you get to pick one of these. So if you choose to pick the sword, then the mace goes away, and you're not gonna get it back. But in return, you get some gold, and stuff like that. Sure.
And like the meta level progression is these, like, I think you open it up as like a prophecy screen. Is that what it is?
It is. Yeah. So what needs to happen is Tips needs to defeat the first boss, which is on the left. You go through the gate and upwards. Over the bridge. So once you defeat the first boss, you reach the hub, and there you're introduced to prophecies, to Well of Stars, and everything else. And the meta progression is such that, Oh, by the way, so obviously the Souls-like element in this game, you have the dash ability.
Is that iframe?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, and enemies try to telegraph what they're about to do, but they're not exactly going to tell you what they're about to do. You need to learn their moveset. So, it's a good idea to stay back and like see it firsthand. For example, okay, now you shouldn't go backwards. Exactly.
So is he doing the double attack now because his health is lower?
Yeah, and he's enraged.
Yeah, I see that.
He's in phase 2, basically.
So there's basically, like, it's not like the boss just does 3 mechanics and then it dies. Like, there are actually phases to the different bosses.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I mean, to be honest, like, this is just the tutorial area, and it's supposed to be easier, but then you're gonna cross the bridge and you're gonna be entering the outcast settlement. That's the first real area of the game, and it gets way harder there. So we're about to see prophecies. As you can see, somebody's telling you to come over. You can just skip through those to, get to the prophecies quicker. Okay, so this is the one you just completed. You didn't know about them, but you were prophesied to do it. And now you get a additional skill slot. what wasn't obvious is you could only pick one skill, and then it wouldn't allow you to get more skills, more different skills. It would only upgrade that one. And now that you've done that, you've got 2 new prophecies which you can complete. Both are active. You don't have to choose anything or do anything. You just go and play the game, but you can see what you need to do. So you need to kill that same boss 2 more times, and you need to kill 12 enemies with your Shield Bash skill. Now, Shield Bash is not obvious until this points it out, but if you return to the game, which is like that, you can hover the Shield Bash and it's going to tell you what it's doing. So basically, you get to absorb 1 hit and do a retaliation attack back to the enemies. So you can just do that and heal, and you can progress further to the other region. Actually, yeah, you can also talk to the shop guy if you want, but it's just a few items and stuff.
It's like Molten Shell.
Molten Shell?
PoE.
Oh yeah, basically. Yeah, so here you can either buy a skill or some different items or stuff like that. But, I think it makes a lot of sense to pick one of the skills just so that you could showcase it. I think that's a good choice. And maybe get...
So this is like the traditional, like whenever you go through in a roguelite, you have those different like checkpoints where you can buy gear and choose upgrades that are more deterministic.
Yeah, but so the shopkeep, he's gonna turn up in a couple more places in the world, but other stuff like the Well of Stars and the prophecies, those can only be interacted with in the hub.
Okay.
So, yeah, you can either get something or just move on.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious as to where this goes. And so, like, what's the power scaling in this game, right? Like, let's say you have the prophecies maxed out. Like, is this like a Vampire Survivor situation? Is this more like Hades, where it's a little bit more measured, but you can still get out of control? Is it like, like which game would you kind of compare it to? Like, what's how far can you go with something like this?
So when you max out everything, there's a lot more potential power you can get, but there's definitely still a cap, so you can just max out all skills and get like good gear. But every region in the game is tuned in such a way that you can only get as strong as we intended to, so that the enemies always remain a challenge for you. So, I wouldn't say it's like Path of Exile clearing the whole screen and everything, but it's more akin to Hades, I would say.
It's like, did you play No Rest for the Wicked?
No, not yet.
Oh, man. Like, I feel like that's like one of these games, because like we've seen a lot of these games where it's like you have so many people that love ARPGs, and you have people that love roguelites, and you have people that like Hades, and so like people are trying, which is a roguelite, but still like the same vibe. Like they're trying to put these together in like different like combinations with like different percentages of each game. And I feel like that's the way that No Rest for the Wicked works. And I played it myself. I enjoyed the game. I thought it had a lot of good ideas, and seeing you kind of doing something that's similar to that, that's, it's not 1-to-1, but it's like the same type of like isometric style. It's really interesting for me to see that. And it's good seeing people try this new stuff.
Yeah, I think there's something to combining these genres, because I think some of the mechanics are really clicking together. And I think it definitely shows here, because once you get stronger, you're definitely able to reach further in the game, but then the game pushes back, and different builds are gonna, like I said, perform differently in different situations. And obviously, like, there's a ton of cheesy ways to play this. For example, if you max out Ice Spears, they're gonna completely freeze one enemy. So that basically increases your chances in any fight by eliminating one at a time.
You do that to a boss?
You can, but they have increased
the DR.
So basically they become immune to frost pretty quickly.
That's good. That's a good decision.
Yeah.
So like, how hard are they? How hard is the hardest boss? Like, what would you say? Like difficulty level?
At the moment, the last one behind the gate that those guys are guarding. You're gonna take like 20 hours to get there because of different runs and tries and errors. But I would say, like, it's not too hard once you get to know the mechanics. But honestly, like, because we're still not that far off in production balance-wise. I think it's going to take us some time to balance this properly with the help of playtesters once we reach the demo phase. Yeah, exactly.
And you said there's a, like if Tips goes up those stairs, there's a boss?
There is a boss on the left, but I don't think he's going to make it up the stairs if he goes that way, because he's pretty heavily guarded.
Oh, okay. So how long have you been working on the game? Like you said, you had a prototype out for it. Like you said 2 weeks?
Yeah.
Like,
So
when was that?
Yeah. So about a year ago, we started working on this, and then because of the tooling and everything, we were able to pump out content pretty quickly. And right now, we're in a position where we're able to add new content like really quickly. Like just for example, just today I added 2 new unique items with unique abilities.
Give me an example. What do they do?
So one of them basically allows you to. It's called the Verdict. It's an axe, 2-handed axe, which grants you +1 level of execute. And whenever you execute an enemy, which is basically like every 3rd strike becomes stronger, whenever you successfully kill an enemy with that, by the way, this one's on a platform, you have to go around the platform. It's not obvious from this X. Oh, that works. So whenever you execute an enemy, it's gonna give you 2 max HP and half a point of attack damage, and that stays with you throughout the run. So that axe forces you to try and execute each enemy with that one particular skill, which, as you can see right now on the screen, is not trivial because, enemies are aggressive. There's a ton of other skills and stuff. And the other one is called Boulder Breaker. It's 2-handed unique mace. What it does is whenever it's not on cooldown, which is a couple of seconds, when you slam, when you attack with your 2-handed mace, it launches a boulder which lands somewhere and does your attack damage in a small area, but also leaves a boulder standing there for a couple of seconds, which if you hit, it shatters and relaunches again. So you can play like a ping pong with that boulder and, gain an extra attack every couple of seconds, so to speak.
I like that. Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, damn, that actually sounds interesting. So it's based around basically the uniques that enable different types of play styles that can kind of occur emergently throughout each different run.
Exactly. So what I try to do, given my experience with action RPGs, I always try to make uniques which allow you to enable a certain build or focus on a thing or change your playstyle in a certain way so that they can make your playstyle fresh. For example, just to give you a couple more examples, so there's a bow called Pale Wind. What it does is it does a really low attack damage, but it fires super fast, so it's a really good pick for skills that trigger on attack, like chance to poison,
like those freeze things.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. There's another one called Carnage Reaver. So what it does is, the skill that Tips just had, the one with the swirling axes, it adds 2 more axes to it, and the skill itself actually scales up every time you kill an enemy. So you just become like a swirling machine of death. So, every item is enabled, is designed in such a way that you can focus on certain skills.
I do want to let you know, Blizzard tried that with Whirlwind in the Diablo 4 beta, and that was OP as hell.
Oh, yeah.
That was crazy. Those Gore's Gauntlets. Yeah, that was nuts.
Oh, yeah.
So just keep that in mind. But no, this sounds very interesting. I mean, like a lot of the abilities that you're mentioning, like obviously I'm thinking of like parallels, like things that are kind of similar to that, and like the gameplay that would enable and everything. And so the fact that you made this shit in a year is crazy. Like you said, a year, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh my god, that's nuts.
I would say like that's the biggest strength we have because everything is procedural, data driven, and stuff like that. We get to pump out shit really fast. So
There it is. Well, Tips, what did you think? You played the game.
I think it's solid. Personally, when it comes to roguelites, one of my favorite builds to go into is like kind of a momentum or like a movement-based build. I feel like it's a little bit restrictive right now. Maybe it's because I'm super early in the game. Again, for me, like games like this, it all comes down to build diversity, being able to just go from like super basic to like absolute god mode, screen clearing everything, but having that journey be meaningful and feeling that progression as you go up. So not like all of a sudden becoming god mode, but like kind of building to that.
Earning it.
This is exactly what this game does. Can we just quickly go back to the slides, slide number 8?
What's it?
Game. So if you go back to the slides, there's going to be a short preview. So you can see here, for example, there's Ricochet, where projectiles bounce around. This is our mage build that procs different things when you're doing lightning damage. And in the trailer itself, there's a couple of more builds showcased, like Big Bonk build or Attack Speed build. Basically, there's something for everybody. You said you like momentum-based builds. Like, what exactly did you mean by that?
Anything that like incorporates a lot of like movement abilities. So like multiple charges, or like when you land when you charge or dash, like there's some kind of offensive ability that goes along with it.
Like Athena in Hades 1.
Yeah,
so there's a ability called Trample. It's barred behind one of the prophecies, and what it does is every 15 meters traveled, it activates a buff, which makes your steps do like AoE physical damage around you and gives you bonus movement speed. And plus, there's another from the same set of skills, which basically increases your attack damage and armor every time you take damage. So basically, you become this massive juggernaut by the end of the run, where you just trample over everything. So, yeah, there's stuff like that in there. And charge, we still didn't get to it, but it's on the roadmap. I mean, speaking of, like, currently we have about 30 skills in the game, and there's like, I would say 20-ish or something unique items currently, but like I just said, it's being expanded quickly. And currently there's like 70 or something prophecies, so there's definitely enough gameplay to keep you engaged at the moment.
Holy shit. Okay, that's a lot.
Oh, yeah. So, any further questions for now?
Oh, I'm curious about...
I'm sorry, Jane, continue.
No, I'm earlier I think you mentioned that the world was static, that it was actually not procedural. Did I hear that right?
Yeah.
That's really interesting because like a lot of these games they will do either true procedural or they'll fake it where it's like randomized fixed maps or whatever. Like why did you decide to do static, and like have you noticed it changing gameplay or like giving it a different feel at all?
Right. So our decision was, you know how in Dark Souls 1 the sense of exploration is really rewarding whenever you find something around the corner. In our game, we also do that. So when Tips played and when he crossed the bridge for the first time, there was a glowing thing just above the door, but he couldn't reach it. He would have to make his way all around the level. And the level being static means that that thing is constantly going to remind him that it's there and he needs to find the way to get to it. And that's basically the perk point that he can allocate later. So the static world allows us to basically tailor the experience how we see fit while providing randomness with different enemy placement. But also because there's only a limited amount of enemies that you can kill before being consumed by the darkness, the curse. Knowing the level and finding shortcuts allows you to basically mitigate the negative effect that the curse has on you. So, there's a couple of things we wanted to try out with it, and so far, like, the thing that keeps it from being repetitive is once you defeat a certain area enough times, a shortcut allows you to simply skip over it, but increase your challenge because you're not as geared as you would be if you cleared the whole thing.
Love that.
I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. It's like a little Metroid-esque sort of feature to the levels and stuff.
Yep.
And yeah, I can see how the Souls-like comparison I was getting. And I was nervous when I read Souls-like because, like, I'm not like I don't have hundreds of hours to kind of learn and master games that way. But this doesn't sound like it's quite that intense. But yeah, it sounds really cool. Actually, one other thing is like I feel like with a lot of these grim dark worlds, like it can turn into a lot of visual grays and browns and stuff like that. Like I was curious, like do you have anywhere in the game that's like kind of a pocket of levity, just some area that brings a little brightness and just humor or whatever?
Yeah, well, humor, I would say NPCs bring a little bit of it, but the world itself is pretty dark toned because like there's a really deep lore behind all of it. I mean, this game is placed in a much bigger story. It's the story I've been writing for like 7 or 8 years now for a different project, but this is just a subset of that. And that world is pretty, grim and hopeless and pale and stuff like that. So yeah, as for the colors and stuff, these first 2 areas are pretty vanilla in terms of like the magic and, everything else. But as you go deeper into the gutters, the dungeon, or as you climb up the mountain, there's going to be like poison areas, poison swamps, magic castles with floating auras and fires burning and stuff like that. So there's going to be variety, definitely.
Yeah. And by the way, like if your game is grimdark and you want to embrace it, by all means, not telling you not to do that. But like, I think that there are ways to kind of bring in at least changes in color or even like leaning into the grimdarkness. Like I'm thinking of Warhammer 40k battle nuns, like you have like coffins turning into big mechs and like, going over the top sometimes brings in that bit of humor while maintaining sort of the grimdark tone. But I just think like things like that, I think can bring a little relief when you're surrounded by a lot of grays and browns. But overall, super impressive and would love to hear more about the story too. But I'm sure we've got to go to other contestants.
You have a nice little cute garden with rabbits and flowers, and then it gets lit on fire by the boss.
Yeah.
There you go. You have a bit of both.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Sounds good. Yeah, well, I don't know. Like, hopefully, when we get to play tests and everything, we're going to get a lot of feedback still. And, there's obviously a lot of room for improvement. So yeah, we'll try to incorporate some of that feedback as well. So the pixel pitch, the ask, right. So what we need 6K. Why? Because we want to have a Steam Deck in-house. Currently, this game already runs on Steam Deck. We made a build, but we borrowed one from a friend. And it would be super helpful to have one on hand, in the studio, because we would make sure that it runs great on deck. And ultimately, we want to release on Switch as well. So, having it on a portable device definitely helps playtest everything in-house. Secondly, like currently, not all the sound is implemented in there yet, and not all of it is still created. So we would need some funds for, doing some more sound work with our contractors and people on the side. So, buying some more help there. And obviously localization. So currently the game supports English, but we already have a system for localization. We just need to actually translate both the game and the Steam page. So, we need some external help with that, and, those things basically cost money. So, what do you get in return? So, I think this is going to be interesting to you. So, for $500, you get to design your own unique, or, at least help design it. It can focus on your favorite skill, on your favorite character, on your favorite mechanic from another game that you want to bring into Heretical, so stuff like that. For $1,000, you get to design a skill from any skill category, or something that would pander to your playstyle. And for $2K, you get to get your own playable character that you can, design backstory and prophecies, which would unlock that character, unique skill, preferences for weapons, all the shebang. So, yeah.
There it is. Okay. Well, that's quite a lot to think about. Oh, my God. Yeah, I'm still kind of astonished the fact that you made this in, what was it, a year? That is crazy. Oh, my God. Wow.
Thanks.
Okay. Well, yeah, that's reasonable.
We did work a lot, but,
Yeah, I really like the art you have there, too. It's the old 90s Legend of Zelda vibe, the dark fantasy vibe. I like that a lot.
Oh, yeah. I mean, once again, thank you, everybody, for letting us be part of Pixel Pitch. just allowing us to showcase to all the people watching this at the moment is a tremendous opportunity in of itself. So thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Well, absolutely. Thank you very much for coming on. The game is called Heretical, and thank you very much, Vladimir, for taking a look at it. It is on Steam right now. You can wishlist it, and also before we end, its demo is gonna be very soon, right?
Yeah. So the demo is coming in the upcoming weeks, and the early access release somewhere towards the end of the summer.
There it is. All right, great. Well, thank you very much for coming on, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Man, that was. I thought that game was good. I'm gonna be honest. Like, I really did. Like, I was impressed by that. Like, I was actually kind of jealous. Like, Tips, whenever they went to your gameplay, I was like, oh fuck, now he's gonna be able to play it. I'm not gonna be able to play it.
You like that? You like that journalist gameplay, by the way?
yeah. I mean, it was interesting, right? You had like that like Bible type like thing that was around you. Like, yeah, I liked it a lot. That's definitely like my kind of game.
No, for sure. Like the only like everything about the game, from like the genre to the atmosphere, like it's very much. I definitely feel like your community would love it.
Yes.
My question with these types of games, like there's so many of them that are coming out, and a lot of them have kind of like different small little twists here and there. But like, how many times have we seen a variation of the Bible, right? How many times have we seen a variation of like, all the different Vampire Survivors upgrades. And it's one of those things that, how do you make this game stand out? And I love like the atmosphere, like the Firelink Shrine atmosphere and the Undead Burg and stuff like that. But I don't know. I feel like with games like this, they're a dime a dozen now, and it really takes a lot to stick out from the rest.
Yeah, it sure does. Go ahead.
Yeah, I agree. It's definitely getting tougher, but I would say like the things that I liked about this game actually has a lot to do with the team and how they thought about it. Like, he had mentioned that they were able to quickly iterate on the full game loop very early. I think that's super smart, especially with a game where meta progression really matters. Like, I mean, I'm sure you played through games like this where like you kind of pass through a run and like there's nothing for you. And then you pass through another run, you're like, there's still nothing. Like, what the heck? And then you kind of give up. So I think getting that meta progression loop is as important as the core game loop. And so the fact that they're able to start working on that early and they're already a year into it, I think speaks volumes to like how they've approached this, and gives me hope that they'd be able to kind of nail that flow of it really well. I think things like quality of life is really going to stand out for games like this because they're so common. The fact that you don't have to manage inventory, I was just like, I love it. Like, don't stop my flow to just manage inventory and place things in the right slot. Just like, let me keep going and that kind of stuff. And the static environment thing I think is interesting, and sort of the angle with the Souls-like I think is also interesting. I think the one thing I wish was maybe with the visuals. Like, I do like grimdark, but I feel like a lot of these types of games tend to be set in a super grimdark setting. Yeah. So I don't know how they're going to kind of punch that or make that stand out and make that feel special.
Well, I mean, I'll tell you this, like, if there's a game and, the brightest color is gray, my community will probably play it. That's about it.
Yeah, I was going to say, are they going to make like a Genshin style or like a Wuthering Waves style of these games? They
did. So did y'all play HoloCure? Like, I know, Tips, you tried it. Like, so basically, this is the craziest thing. You're aware of HoloLive, right? The VTuber agency? No? Okay. HoloLive is massive. They're huge. And so they have a huge amount of like VTubers that are extremely popular. So a random guy, a singular fan, made a Vampire Survivors style game that is a pixel art anime inspired game with every single one of, as far as I know, of the HoloLive VTubers, and each VTuber has a stylized attack that's built off of their brand. And it has that exact same vibe to it, where it's like the more colorful, artsy style, where it's not the dark, grimdark. It's the exact opposite. And I played it. I thought it was one of the best games, and it's a free game. Literally a free game. It's nuts.
Man, I kind of want that as a fighting game.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like... Yeah. I mean, you have like the Grand Blue Versus, I feel like is kind of bright. But yeah, you don't really have a lot like that. I think so. Yeah, and the game is called Hollow Cure. Yeah.
Okay. I'll have to check that out. Yeah.
Yeah. We will go to the last game of the day, which is ironically called First Dwarf. I believe we actually took a look at this game at the OTK Games Expo a while ago, and we're gonna have Anastasiia on to come on and talk about the game. Anastasiia, how you doing?
Hi, my name is Anastasiia. I was a little dragon from our game. It's not a cat, it's a little dragon. You can be sure in that. And today I want to present you our game, First Dwarf. How Asmongold say, we was on OTK Expo, and we really like it. And I think we can start.
Let's go.
Imagine diving into First Dwarf, game blending open world colony survival with action RPG thrills and tower defense. Now I want to show you trailer with demo date exclusively for OTK today.
Yeah. Hey, let's see it. I'm ready. Damn, so the demo for this is coming out real quick. That looks great.
8 June, you first who get this information.
Well, I appreciate
and,
it. Yeah.
We will be so thankful if you will play our game. If you will in our Discord, because we have play test, and we so appreciated that so many players give our feedback. And a lot of information for them now in game. In demo, it will be built what is made with players, our players. And now main information about our game. Name First Dwarf. Gen open world colony survival RPG with tower defense elements. Developer Star Drifters, we. Main platform is PC, but we also will be on consoles. We want to Steam Deck and Nintendo Switch. Release date early access on June. And languages more than 20, because we want to play in their own languages. Right. Yeah, it's not high professional translating. We translate together with our community. And we think that better play in your own language, maybe not so amazing, good and perfect, but it's your own language. And core team, it's 8 people. A little bit about us. We are a small indie dev studio from Warsaw, Poland, founded in 2014. Below game development, and we have in our team very professional and creative developers, and we try making games that stick with player. And game pillars, I think it's the most important. Explore, build, fight, and govern. Explore world in mana, power, mech, armor. When you play like a dwarf, and you have a dragon, and you can play dwarf, mech, and dragon.
So was it so like basically the dragon is like for exploration? It felt like kind of.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
exploration. It's like a drone, but explore and scan area, and she can diving. She can fly to high spots. and she can find something what not mech, not dwarf can.
Okay.
You know, you can build colony, construct defense structure to keep your people safe. You will build colony. You will send raven to the colonies. They will come. They will leave. You will have quests from them. They will live their dwarven life. Yeah, but in our world also enemies. It's dark magic, and it's so mysterious when our characters come to this island. They saw that never some people been there, but they see signs of some magic, some that someone been here. And so it's like, whoa, we saw these really big colonies and all, but they're enemies, magic, some puzzles, ancient civilization. I think it's amazing. We have a lot of enemies, different. We have a lot. Our dragon also can combat with fire, of course. Every three characters can combat, and sometimes that will be enemy that our mech can do nothing to him, but our dragon can. You know.
Okay.
Game loop. How looks game loop in our game? Gathering the needed resource, base building, hero progression, fighting the enemy, defend the flank island, achievement main side quest, exploring new flank islands. I want to say that we have dev 3 for every character and for every colony. Every colony will have their unique guild, and you will have progression their guild. It's not like you build colony and go to another island and, oh, I forgot about this island. No. Sometimes quest line will be you need to back, and sometimes to unlock some technology on one island, you need to progression on another island. And all time you need to defend this colony. Because enemies will be all time.
Can I get in with some questions? So I basically... Are you going to be able to like recruit? It seems like you were able to recruit other dwarves. Is that right? To like make a dwarf colony? No.
You not recruit. It's just your people. Your people from your clan is from lands that I don't know. They have no resources, no food, no nothing. It's they very close to death, and our dwarf it's the last hope. And he built these colonies for his clan.
So can you make them do like jobs and like make them work and stuff like that?
I think they will be fixed colony after enemy's waves, because it will be enemy's waves on your colony.
Can you build like defenses to fight against the enemy waves?
They not will be built.
Okay.
I think so. But I can't say you it's. Oh, they won't, because sometimes it's so wild ideas in our head. It was, I don't know, 2 weeks ago when our programmer say, I want to make our dwarves ride on pigs. And we say, oh, what? Pigs? You ride on pigs? And we say, okay, let's do that. And we want to do that because it's nice. We think about some crazy thing, and after that we say, okay, let's do that, man, because it's our passion. We love it, and we want to do this game interesting for guy. I'm a quest designer. I do quest, and I so hate quest. Hey, go there, take 5 items, and run to me. No, I like do every quest. It's mini story. It's environment story, the player, some dialogue, some thoughts of our characters, Ragnar and True. And during the game, you will see their personal growing, their relationships, their best friends. It's not like friends like, oh, you're so nice, and you so nice. No, it's like, oh, you looks like shit, man. It's like that. This.
Those are good friends. Yeah.
We have game mods.
Okay.
Now we work hard on single player. but we also have co-op, split screen, online co-op, and player will be able to play like you Asmongold play like Dwarf, and Tips play like Dragon or Dwarf. It's not like 2 mechs, 2 dragons, through 2 dwarfs. It's I say asynchronic co-op. But our community said that they want second mech, and we think about some interesting idea how to second mech to making game.
Okay, yeah, that's interesting. I'm just trying to think like how that would play, but okay.
It's some gifts from our game. Building the dragon, it's the best part. Crafting, and you can pet a dog or other animals.
Okay.
These animals will be tainted by dark magic, but you will able to untain them, and them will be happy, and you will pet him.
So, can you make the dragon bigger to where like you can fly on it?
You know, if every time I receive $1 for this question, no, she haven't. She will. It's her bigger, the most big size.
That's as good as it's gonna get.
I know, but we didn't want to make a big dragon. But there will be big dragon in game.
Okay, and so like the story is like you're a dwarf, you're trying to, you know, help your clan survive, and you're building this stuff to like, and like you're gonna have like your base raided, right, with like other monsters, and so you have to like fight them off, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we have interesting story. That father of our true also was like a first dwarf, but she unsucceed.
Okay.
She fly and don't back away, like my father, you know. She flies sometimes and don't come in his clan. And in this islands, True will find him signs of his father. It's like, oh shit, it's my father documents some or like stuff. And also that will be story about ancient civilization in our world. And I want to say that we have our first game that's called Driftland the Magic Revival. It's a strategy game on floating island. It's one world. Driftland in first Dwarf, it's one world. And you will have lore from Driftland and characters from Driftland. Yeah. It's one world. It's second game in this world. I think it's interesting for some people because we love games with lore, like The Elder Scrolls, World of Warcraft, and other stuff, you know? And I think it's interesting. And this Driftland the Magic Revival, it's a strategy. But here it's more personal story. And some characters from first game will be here, and you will able to talk to them, interact with them. I think it's amazing.
Okay, so there's like a whole story that like kind of unravels as you go through the game and you progress through different parts of it.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. So how much gameplay is going to be in the demo?
In demo, our game has 10 floating islands. Big floating island. And demo will have one first island. But it's not 1 hour. You can play 2. Play as long as you want on first island, you know.
Okay.
Yeah. But in our early access, you will able to play from beginning to island, and we want to add more content as fast as we can. It will be new islands, 2 months into island, 3 months into island. I don't know. I can say it's clear, you know, because we don't know how it's going.
Well, how long have you been working on the game for?
The game for, oh shit.
Yeah.
I'm 2 years, but I think. Oh, yeah. Thank you. Yeah, it's 2021 start.
It's about 3 years, okay. And so
Yeah.
you're planning on having an early access come out this month. So it's been a long time leading up to
Yeah.
this, but not really a big finish date for the early access since it hasn't even really started. But that's kind of where you're thinking right now. That's where you're at. 3 years into it, okay.
I want to show you references for gameplay.
Let's get it.
It's Subnautica, Sense of
Okay.
Wonder. I love Subnautica. When you go to new location, you didn't know it's new nice biome, or it's new strange monster, or it's both. And you want to do the same thing, It's so nice when you, this nice location. It's some kill you. Oh, it's nice. I love that shit. Valheim. It's crafting survival aspects and managing a colony. Legend of Zelda. I think it's exploration, freedom, what you feel. From level design side, I like how this game, it's not flat. It's different levels you have. And you can go to high mountain and look to whole island, like in our game.
Right.
Rift Breaker. Base building, base defense, of course. We hear so many times that we are Rift Breaker with Zelda graphics, but it's true, maybe. References, look and feel. Of course, again, it's Zelda. We like how it looks, we like how it feels. Genshin Impact is maybe graphic and freedom in this game. Avatar, the movie. We like. There are also robots. There are also wild nature, strange people, and Love, Death and Robots Suits episode. We like how this robots, these farmers try to defend their home, this wild waves of this enemy, and it's so good. It's looking so good, and we want to give player this feelings. But oh shit, it's so. I don't know, it's so scary. There's a lot of enemies, they're so different, and but I think I can protect my colony. I have tower to defend my colony. I have giant hammer or some range weapon,
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Maybe you have some questions.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Actually, Tips, Jane, do you want to add anything? Because I can start talking.
Go ahead, Jen.
Yeah, I mean, where to begin? I feel like I saw somewhere, like maybe it was your website, you guys had won a bunch of awards. Is that right?
I think, yeah.
Yeah.
We try to be on every event. It's true. We try to be on every event, and it's possibility that a lot of people hear about our game.
I mean, it's hard to break out and like stand out above the noise and everything. And if it looked like based on some of the stuff that I saw that there was like it seemed like a little bit of an RTS element. Is that right? Like with the tower defense and the base building and all that. How much of that is a big part of the game and experience?
A big part of the game. I can say it's half of the game or not, but I think it's so important for us. We're so hardworking about tower defense. We try so hard to make it not look the same all time. Because first island, it's like this, but second, third, fourth island, it's okay, again, towers. We want to make player use environment. On every different island, it will different environment. It's some swamp, maybe something like that. It will be one island. It's spoiler. It will be one island where mana. It's so many mana that player don't will be able to normal playing because it will be like I don't know, it's like will be in dream and in reality. Like, I don't know, he will be like a drunk, and he need to upgrade his armor to protect him from that. And how you can combat when you always like, oh shit, you know?
Yeah.
Well, I get it.
How many islands, how many hours of gameplay would you say it is?
How many islands? I think it will be 10 islands. How many hours it will be? First island, it's for about 14 minutes. 40 minutes? 40 minutes, yes. But second island for average player, I think it will be 2-3 hours. Third island, it's bigger than second island.
Okay.
I think it possibility it will be more. I can say you that it will be 100 on you know. I don't know. We just sometimes I try to play like a player, but it's impossible. And it took me 2 hours on second island.
Yeah, no. Okay, so like I think I'm hearing like 20, 30 hours gameplay. There's something about this, like the town building thing that just reminds me of like, was it Fallout 4? It was just like sort of, you build your little shack and you're like trying to protect, anyways. But no, it was super cool. It's a gorgeous world. Like the environment art is beautiful. The color palettes, it's so hard to get the color palettes right. Like, but yeah, you pull it off really well.
Our artists make amazing work. Amazing work. It's not shader. It's I can say it's hand painted. It's our islands. It's not generated. I make these islands. It's landscape. I set the trees. We don't. Our first game was generated because it was strategy. You know, it's normal. But this world is handmade. I don't know how to say it. Yeah, it's handmade, but it's not too much static. You can change environment.
And before I pass this on to Tips and Asmon, like what is it about this game that makes you personally really excited about it?
Me personally, you know, when I come to office to a talk with our CEO to get the job, and he showed me the trailer, I was, fuck, it's so amazing. If I don't get this job, I will crying all day. When it's my childhood dream, you know. I like dwarfs, I like dragons, I like Hobbit, I like this in style. It was. If I was a kid, someone give me this game, I think I will play this, 20 hours per day. You know, it's my passion. I love this project. I like make quests. And when I make quests, I try to make a joke, interesting, understandable, you know. And sometimes my producers say, oh, you know, you must in every sentence and make a joke. I says, oh, okay. You don't must thinking about 12 quests. Okay. And I love this game, all in this game. It's my love.
One of the things that, you know, drives Breath of the Wild, I think, a lot is, you know, when you get into the game, if I remember correctly, it's been a while since I played, but like you see like, oh god, I forgot what it was called, but like you see like where Ganon kind of is in the distance, and you know like that's the bad guy. Like I'm trying to, you know, beat all the different, you know, beasts and eventually, you know, get to the bad guy and kill the big bad monster. Is there kind of like a big villain or like something that kind of you aspire to get to in this game? Because I played a lot of survival games where you sort of wander around endlessly, and for some games it works, but for other games it feels like there's not a lot of purpose to what you're doing. What's the purpose? What's the driver behind wanting to go to the next island and continue progressing through the game?
We have one big enemy. It's Dark Mage, who in a big match war makes this world to separate on these little islands. and we will fight with them. With him, we will meet our father. At every island, we will see signs of our father about this enemy, and it's whoa, who is that? Why he do that? Why he tend this old monster? Why he do that?
And then, like, the story reveals the reason for why things are happening in the way that they are. Is that pretty much where you're coming from? Is that it?
Can you repeat?
So like, the story kind of reveals why things are happening the way they are?
Yes.
Okay.
And then at the end, it's revealed that you are the father, and it's like a whole Bioshock moment.
Oh, that's cool.
No, we thought about it in a joke, but not. Main enemy wasn't our father.
Okay.
Maury Povich comes out, starts dancing on the stage.
Yeah, there you go. Well, obviously, you're on Pixel Pitch. What do you want from us?
What I want from you?
Yeah.
I want money.
I know.
Same.
Yep.
We all want money. But
Thanks to Ally Blink, we'll all get some.
I'm indie game developer. We're so hungry. We don't have money. We want money. And we want compelling Dwarven experience. We love turning from Hobbit. And we want to make good voice overs for our game with fucking Scottish accent in our Dwarf. A playtest audio to all hear that. That's amazing.
Okay. Yeah. We tried to play it. It didn't work. Okay. Yeah, we're gonna see if we can get it fixed. Okay. All right. You keep going. It's fine.
It's so sad. It's amazing voiceover here.
Hopefully we'll be able to get it to work.
Okay. I see clowns in the chat also. We want to make voiceovers. Just in English, I think. With Scottish accent, as I say. And in demo, you will hear it. Oh.
Every day in Driftlands feels like your first. Perhaps because each nightfall feels like it might be your last.
Okay. All right. That's about exactly what I would expect the dwarf to sound like.
Yes, exactly, man. Just play demo on stream. And you will hear it amazing. I think it's amazing. He's classic dwarf. We want to make it classic.
Okay.
When you think about dwarf, it will be true. It will be our true. It's his name. Not true, a true.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. Understood.
Yeah.
And
it's
so, what else you got?
Be or not to be, any help from you with spreading explore of our game. I ask you, can I ask you to scan our QR code, to follow us in social media, in our Discord. We're so waiting you in our Discord. Our producers so like to post my bugs. It's so amazing with funny music. If we draw some art to the game, if our art director draws some art, it will be on Discord in 5 minutes. You will be see five proposals or something, and you can vote for this.
So what you're saying is, like, join the Discord if you want to know what's happening with the game, get those really fast updates. Join the Discord. Okay. Yeah, there it is. And also the Steam link is in chat. The game again is The First Dwarf.
We also dream to add settlement life cycle. They drink beer, do some shit, I don't know. We want to prepare QA with outsourced company because our game is, a lot of stuff. Sometimes it's some bugs we can't see. Because when I was a tester, and I said, wow, how these devs don't see these fucking bugs, and now I don't see them. I don't see them. It's so bad. and we want to QA. We so want QA, but we're too small to do that, and we also need money for that. And we want to add content. We want to our variety peaks. You know, we so want it, and we so want to make this peaks with beard. You know, I think it will be amazing, or with glasses. I don't know. What do you think is better? You know, and we very thankful you for OTK Expo for being here. It's so amazing. I was so nervous, but it's so chill atmosphere. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I mean, it's a chill episode. I mean, it's not that big of a deal. Hopefully you weren't too nervous. I think you did a great job. So thank you very much for coming on. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Join us. Thank you, chat. It was amazing.
Absolutely. And again, thank you very much, Anastasiia. Hopefully I said the name right. And the game, again, is The First Dwarf. You can take a look at it on Steam, and there is a demo coming out towards the beginning of June, if I remember right, June 8th for the demo. So there it is.
Exclusive information for you guys, you know.
There it is. The First Dwarf, June 8th. Thank you very much, Anastasiia. I appreciate it. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
All right. Wow. Okay. It's been 5 games. Ooh. I've kind of got my framework of like what I'm thinking I'm gonna go with. What do you guys think?
Man, I know what I really loved. I have like a rank and all that stuff. I'm curious, do we get to see what the community voted for?
Ooh, you know what? How are we gonna do that this time? Do we have a way to make sure that we have a poll? Okay, so guys, this is what's gonna happen. We are going to do a poll, and you guys are going to be able to vote on which game you want to win the poll. And so again, the five games that we went through were obviously WaxHeart was the first game, Peppered the second game, Shot One Fighters the third, I think Heretical is the fourth, and we just finished up looking at The First Dwarf. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna be how are we doing this again? Are we just doing is it like a straw poll, or how do we do this? Okay, so this is what y'all do. Like, if you want to vote for the game, if you want this game to win, I want you to put the game, like 1 obviously is WaxHeart, 2 would be Peppered, 3 would be Shot One Fighters, 4 would be Heretical, 5 would be The First Dwarf. So you all are going to be able to vote on the game that you want to have win, and you can also just say the name of the game. So yeah, there you guys go. And yeah, you guys can keep going. I just wanted to explain it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, are we just gonna? I don't know. I mean,
well, I can talk. I'm ready to talk. Yeah, but no, I was curious. Like, what do you think? What did you think of the games?
I mean, honestly, like, I was smitten by Peppered as soon as I saw the trailer, and just like hearing what the dev had to say, and like, you know, husband and wife team. I thought that was just so fun, and really eager to see that game. And I thought the art was great. Heretical also, I thought, like, I didn't know what to think. I wasn't sure if it was going to be a lot of like a lot of other things that I've seen already. But man, I do love me some Diablo, and that game also kind of won me over. But yeah, I mean, they all had like really cool stories. I loved how WaxHeart they're trying to help, like, you know, people get their first gig in the industry, and so like that was pretty awesome. And like First Dwarf too, like, you know, it sounds like they've been at this as a studio for a while. They have a gorgeous game, so. Yeah, I think, yeah, my first 2 would probably be Peppered and Heretical, and then probably say First Dwarf coming in third. I don't know. What are you thinking, Tips?
Honestly, every single game is awesome in its own right. I think if I had to break it down, I think, you know, I definitely agree on Peppered. I think the way I would describe it is Peppered is just based on trailer alone and initial gameplay. That's probably the first game I would buy. And I think Heretical is the game I would spend probably the longest time playing. There's no kind of games that I like. So I can see myself buying Peppered, checking it out in due time, playing a lot of Heretical. I've got to give some love to Shot One Fighters, only because my mind really started trailing off when he was talking about like the roguelite possibilities with a fighter. there's so many ways that I think you could do it that could be super unique.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, so it's like, it's one of those things where if it goes in the direction that I'm thinking it could be super awesome, but the amount of hurdles that they have to leap over to get there is very daunting. So, trying to make a game, essentially trying to make 2 games in one is really difficult, especially for an indie studio that's underfunded and had to pivot massively from their original vision. But they definitely get bonus points there. And then for me, First Dwarf, that's typically not the type of game that I would play on my own. Sadly, I wasn't a huge fan of Valheim, not because it wasn't a good game, but just because that's just not the type of game that I enjoy personally.
Yeah.
But like, if there was ever a game that like just won me over purely by the passion of the team, or in this case, the representative of the team, I got to give bonus points for that. So for me, my ranking would be probably Pepper number 1, Heretical number 2, Shot One Fighters number 3, just based on vision, and First Dwarf. It's coming out soon. I think it's going to do fantastic. But just bonus points for the passion of the team member is kind of where I would.
All right. Well, I mean, like, here's the thing, right? Tips, you and I, we had a lot of conversations on games, and we get along real well because we agree on a lot of things. And so I definitely fucking agree. I think Peppered, I really, really, really like the game. Heretical, like, as soon as that guy started explaining the uniques, man, like, we could still be there. We could still be there if I didn't stop myself. Like, I had a lot of things to talk about with that. So I was really enjoying that. That game really, I feel like there's a lot of games that are trying to, like, each game is trying to, like, bridge the gap in its own way. It's like, okay, we're going to be like 30% Diablo, 40%, Hades, and, 30% something else or something like that, right? And like, so which game is really going to come out and pop off? I think it's interesting. And so I really like Heretical. I mean, are we ready? Because I'm ready to give some fucking money out. Like that's the way I feel.
Let's do it.
Okay. All right. So this is where I'm at. Okay. I'm gonna do the money just like one at a time, and I'm gonna kind of go. I guess like the to the top to the bottom. So for WaxHeart, I think that for me, like, how much money am I gonna put in for that game? I would say I would give it $500. I would give that game $500. I want to support it because I really like the, like, how the fuck do you manage 100 people on one game? Like, that's crazy. Like, I can't imagine that. Like, trying to keep all that together, that's impressive to me. So yeah, I would give them $500. Honestly, that is, like, I'm not, like, I'm into, like, the story games, right? It's okay. But, like, what I really enjoy is gameplay games. But the premise of the way that they're setting that up, that's interesting. So I do want to support it with $500, right? That's number one. Number 2, First Dwarf, I would say also probably about the same thing. I think they're pretty close to the release of the game. And I'll be honest, like, if this game comes out and it's any good, I'm probably going to end up playing this on stream. That's the truth, because this is the kind of game that, like, I did play Valheim. I played all through Valheim 2 times. I put 200 hours into Palworld. Like, I beat the shit out of that game. And then I even played in Shroud Apple. I play these games as much as I can because I thought they were good. And so if this game comes out, it's a good looking game, I'm going to be all about the First Dwarf. I will play it. So I would give 500 to that. Number 3, actually, I'll let you guys go. I'll let you somebody else can go.
Go ahead, Jane.
That's where I'm gonna start.
Yeah, I don't know. It's so rough. Like, man, because I want to help all of them. I mean, that's why we're here, and it's so great that OTK is doing this, and Ally, of course, like, it's supporting indie studios. I feel so bad for WaxHeart. I mean, imagine dealing with 100 devs, not being able to afford the Trello software that you need to just manage that.
That's some
like
struggles
that's a nightmare.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think I would go higher on WaxHeart just to support them to get their project management software. Maybe I would do like 1,000 for them to help them get to that goal there. And then I think with First Dwarf, yeah, I mean, similarly, I think I would also do like maybe 500 for them. I really love them, and it feels like they've got a lot a lot to offer their fans. They're award-winning. I feel like they'll be really good and on their way there. So, but yeah, I don't know if you want to go next or.
Shit. Okay. Damn, I'm gonna come off like an asshole here. So personally, WaxHeart did not vibe with me super well. That's probably not the type of game that I would play. So unfortunately, I would have to pass on that game personally. I would give. Well, I just realized Peppered is only asking for $5, so that kind of like changes everything for me. So give me 1 second to rework my numbers. I'm sorry.
Okay, yeah. I guess I'm gonna go with my third one while Tips is figuring it out. The truth is, I want to give. I'm thinking $1,000 to Shot One Fighters. I think so. The reason why is because like I feel like the fighting game community is probably one of the most still. I don't even understand how this happened, but like somehow the fighting game community is still grassroots, and I can watch like a Evo competition or something like that, and yeah, they got nice production and everything, but it still doesn't feel that far off from a few guys crowded around one CRT computer or, you know, like a TV and just watching it. And so I really like it. I think that they will support that too. People love fighting games, and it's good to see an indie game try to break into the space and, you know, disrupt at least a little bit of the tenure of these games that have been like out for 20-30 years, you know.
100%. And with that, I'm gonna say I've got 2,000 for Shot One Fighters. Just again, a game that I think, you know, I just want to see where they take it. I'm very curious and kind of supporting them on their journey, and, you know, being a part of a project that essentially got halted, you know, to a complete stop, and then having to build the team back up and realign on vision and execute. I think that's very admirable, and again, really curious to see how the roguelite, you know, fighting genre mix turns out for them. And just to continue for mine, Heretical, I'd also give them $2,000. Again, out of all the games here, I can see myself spending the most time in that game. I was playing it a little bit off cam while we continue throughout the show, so I think that's a promising sign. Would like to see more fast-paced combat, abilities that are more engaging and perhaps a little bit different than a lot of the bullet heaven formula we've seen recently. And I'd give $500 to First Dwarf, again, just purely based on the enthusiasm of the developer. I think they're going to have a fantastic launch, especially if Asmon plays it. And then I would give my remaining, you know, $5 to Pepper to help them reach their goal, and the remaining $4.95 to WaxHeart to help them get right to the edge of their goal.
What about you, Jane? What do you think?
Gosh. Yeah, I mean, man, it's so hard. I think with Peppered, yeah, it seems like they've reached their goal. I will shout them out because I know that they did their Kickstarter, and like I saw all their updates. Every update they were promoting and supporting other indie devs. I feel like they asked a little bit low to also support the other indie devs here. So I think that was really super awesome of them. So even though you only asked for $5, if you want, happy to connect after this, see if there's any other support that could offer you. It seems like you're more than fine though. So I think you're good there, but totally support what you're doing, and we'll definitely buy your game. I think I actually might up my amount for First Dwarf because, like, you know, I do want to see them get on their way more. So I might, I think I'll increase mine to probably like, let's see, I think I put 500 before. Maybe I'd raise it to 1,500 to kind of like get them to closer to their goal, hopefully. Yeah. I'll do the remaining 5 for Wax to make sure that they can get to their 2,000 there. And then I think I would want, I don't even know how much I have left. I didn't even do the math on this. Sorry, graphics people.
You want me to go in on it? I'll talk a little bit and then figure it out. All right, so I'm going to just wrap it up. Okay, so we got the last 2 games. Here's what we're going to do. For Heretical, I am going to give them $3,000 fucking dollars. This game looks good. This is a good fucking game. That's a great game. I really, really like this game. I think, and the fact, by the way, this shit came out in a year. They made this in a year? That is nuts. How the fuck do you make this in a year? That drives me crazy. And so, yeah, like, especially whenever, you know, it's like, oh, we're going to make this change to the game. It takes 6 months. Like, how is it you make a whole game in 1 year? Right? And so I see that. I'm astonished. Now, I don't have any money left. Peppered already met their goal. So I guess the best I can do is I will stream the fucking game. I will stream the game. I'll play through the game. I'm going to play through the demo myself. I will stream it. I'll take a look at it. I'm going to do that. I very rarely commit to ever actually playing a game and showing it myself on my stream. But I think with something like this, I think it just might work. That's what I think.
Hell yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing. Okay, then, I guess at this, like, again, also super loved Heretical. I feel like that game's going to be amazing. Can't wait to play it personally. I can't wait to play all these games, actually. I think I will just round them up to their full ask, so take them to 6,000, was it? So give them 1,000. You know, I'll make sure that Shots kind of gets to their goal, too. Get them up to 5,000 total. And then the remainder, I think I will actually give to First Dwarf to help them get closer to their goal. WaxHeart, love you. I think you'll get to where you're going. You're a lot earlier on, but for anybody here, happy to reach out and work with you and offer any additional support.
And I'm not sure we said this at the beginning, but just in case we didn't, guys, this is Jane Offaker. She was the executive producer on the show Arcane, if you guys watched it, the League of Legends franchise and universe. And she's also the CEO of Incredible Dream Studios. She makes games of her own. And one of the franchises that she works on is called the Kinfire Chronicles. I'm spamming it in the chat. You guys just released your Kickstarter, right, Jen?
Yeah, thank you so much for mentioning it. Yeah, we did a Kickstarter for our latest game, 2 to 6 player competitive game called Kinfire Council. The Kickstarter campaign closed on Monday, but we're going to be opening up for late pledges. So if you want to come check it out, please do. But I'd say for any of these studios too, like I know Peppered had done a Kickstarter campaign. I think crowdfunding could be a really interesting route for some of these other projects as well, especially because you all have such great stories. And, you know, towards that end, happy also to maybe help with Kickstarter planning, maybe some thoughts and ideas there, help with, you know, just thoughts or feedback on the IP or the stories that you have in development. Yeah, however I could be helpful, or even maybe putting you in touch with some investors would be something else I could potentially do.
Y'all raised $275,000? Damn.
Thank you. For a board game, yes. But yeah.
Not bad.
I mean, let's be real. The kind of nerds that play board games got a lot of money. Like, let's just be real. There it is. I mean, it's like you fishing where the fish are in that.
Well, yeah. Mm-hmm. I love the space. It's a wonderful community, wonderful crowd. So
that's awesome, honestly.
Cool.
So you got another 5,000 to put in, then, Jane.
Oh yeah, of course, right. But anyway, yes, I want to know what chat picked. Where's chat at? Okay, so we have the game that won Best in Show. We have WaxHeart at 2%, Peppered at 24, Shot One Fighters at 8. Heretical 21, but at 45%, we have First Dwarf popping off almost half of the votes. Congratulations, First Dwarf, you're winning. They win the $5,000. Like, there it is. Oh my God! Congratulations. Woo! Yeah, it seems like she's pretty happy. Do you want to bring her on just real quick, just to talk? Oh yeah.
Congratulations, Anastasiia.
Thank you so much, chat. I love you so much. Chat is just Giga Chat, you know. Thank you so much for voting for our game. We will try our best to make it amazing, funny, and you will like it.
Mm-hmm.
You will like our game.
No, I hope so. It's gonna be June 8th. It's in like 2 weeks almost, less than that.
Yeah, just wait 2 weeks to play demo. We will waiting for your opinion.
All right.
You can change this game if you want something to add. If you have
be careful what you wish for.
Oh, sorry. Just go to our Discord. It proposes something. Maybe it will be in the game. Who knows?
All right. Good to know.
Thank you so much.
Of course. Thank you very much. Again, guys, the game is First Dwarf. And thank you very much, Anastasiia, for coming on. And I also want to say, for everybody else that came on and was part of the show, every single one of these games, the reason why we brought these games on is because we already think that they're fucking good. Like, these are already, you know, if they are on the show, like, that's already a seal of approval right there in itself. We thought it was good enough to show you guys. We really hope everybody enjoyed the show. Also, I want to say W's in the chat for Ally. They have been supporting the show ever since day one. They have been here every episode, sponsoring the show, making it possible, supporting these games, giving you more ways to ignore your real life. So again, ally.com/creator. It's in the chat. You can take a look at it if you're trying to do anything with banking at all. And also, of course, Tips and Jane, thank you very much for coming on and being my co-host for the show.
Thank you. It's been fun. Yeah. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much for coming on, Jane. Again, guys, kinfirechronicles.com to check out what Jane's working on. Huge shout out to Ally once again. And yeah, it's been a pleasure, Asmon. Thanks for having us on.
Absolutely. Well, anyways, guys, here's the reality is like, it's already 4:30. Like, I got to stream anyway. So I'm going to figure it out with production. I'm just going to go live right after this, and we're just going to keep streaming. So usually I go take a nap or something. I'm not going to be taking a fucking nap. I got to take like 10 minutes, and then we're just going to start, okay? So, yeah, we got a lot of shit going on. We're going to start everything up, and I'll figure it out production. But, yeah, that's what's going to happen. Just give me a little bit to wrap things up, and we're just going to get right into it. But, yes, anyway, Jane, again, you have your Kickstarter going on. If please link Jane's the website, the one that Tips. Can you link it again? Can you link it again? Make sure. I want to make sure this happens. Yes, there you go. Kinfire Chronicles. That was the game that you actually came on the OTK Games Expo and talked about.
Is and like that definitely that's why I really appreciate everything that OTK is doing to help promote indie games in the scene. Like, you guys are amazing.
Well, it's all part of an ecosystem. We promote the games, and then we get to complain about them whenever they come out, whenever we play them on stream.
1000%. I'll get you your copy. I want to see the review. Yes.
Absolutely. Very perfect. But anyway, guys, also huge shout out to all the developers for coming on. You know, my community is extremely critical. And so coming on to my stream and promoting your game, that's a risk, you know, it's a risk. And that's hard to do. And so W's in the chat for all the developers coming on, showing their games. And thank you all for watching. I really appreciate it. Obviously, again, thank you very much for Allied for supporting the show. And we're going to figure things out for production. And then I'm going to go ahead and get my own stream started. So, yeah. Anyway, guys, thank you very much. And if you're watching the episode, peace.
Bye.